Chapter 292. Shenlang, you dare. Gudu Wu Huan roared out, I am going to dismember you into 1,000 pieces. Yang Dingtian pulled out the large sword from Dugu Fengwu's chest, and fresh blood spurted out, drenching Yang Dingtian's face. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian grabbed Dugu Fengwu, whose fate was unknown, and placed her in front of him. He placed the large sword on her jade neck and said coldly, Gudu Wu Huan, let us go immediately. Otherwise, I will immediately behead Dugu Fengwu. Gudu Wu Huan was fighting with day-by-day Bella as he said, Shenlang, let go of Fengwu, and I will let you leave alone. No way. Yang Dingtian said, you have to let all of us go. Let go of Fengwu, and I will let you live. Furthermore, I will never pursue this matter. Gudu Wu Huan roared out and was prepared to break away from the battle and rush towards Yang Dingtian. No, let all of us go. Yang Dingtian said. You are dreaming. At this moment, Yin Tianchong, who was in the air, suddenly laughed and said, do you think that I will let go of the meat in my mouth? Dugu Fengwu will die in your hands, and that is her fate. I am powerless to do anything about it. At this moment, Dongfang Bingling's face was completely pale, and her delicate body was constantly trembling in the air. She might fall down at any moment. Yin Tianchong continued to stare at Dongfang Bingling and said, I suddenly thought that it is a pity to pierce your chi vessel with my sword. I am a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex. Therefore, I have decided to use my hand to shatter your chi vessel. This way, your body will still be intact and become an absolutely beautiful plaything. Gudu Wu Huan, you guys stall day by day Bella. After I deal with Fairy Dongfang, I will immediately come down and kill him. Yin Tianchong laughed and said. Afterward, he took off a pair of gloves that were like cicada wings and opened his hand, grabbing towards Dongfang Bingling's chi vessel. At this moment, Dongfang Bingling was already at her limits and might wither at any moment. She didn't have any strength to retaliate. Therefore, Yin Tianchong could use his heart to feel Dongfang Bingling's beautiful body. His speed was extremely slow as his fingers danced continuously, ruthlessly grabbing towards Dongfang Bingling's chi. At this time, his heart was completely clouded by lust, and he had thrown everything to the back of his mind. Whoosh! His large hand grabbed at her fiercely. However, what he touched was not Dongfang Bingling's body, but a solid block of ice. A ball of blue ice suddenly wrapped around Dongfang Bingling. Just as Yin Tianchong's big hand touched the ice, Dongfang Bingling's haggard beautiful eyes suddenly widened. They were incomparably bright and deep. Bang! Then, Dongfang Bingling's delicate body suddenly shot out from the ice. At the same time, the hard ice abruptly turned into a ball of blue light and shadow and abruptly drilled into Yin Tianchong's body through his palm. Ah! Yin Tianchong let out a loud cry. Instantly, his body instantly turned into a terrifying blue color, and a layer of frost rapidly covered the surface of his body. This was a fatal cold poison, which was mixed with the cold poison from the million spirit Yin flame. Immediately, Yin Tianchong hurriedly circulated all the fire attribute profound qi in his qi and frantically expelled the cold poison from his body. At the same time, Dongfang Bingling floated in the air. Her beautiful eyes shot out dazzling rays of light, and her entire body blossomed with blue rays of light. At this moment, not only did Dongfang Bingling not seem to be injured, she felt even more powerful than before. Boom! Then, a blue flame suddenly burned out from her body. This was her profound flame. She used the profound flame to ignite all the profound qi in her body. At a glance, a ball of incomparably beautiful blue flame was burning in the air. When the flame burned to the extreme, Dongfang Bingling's delicate body suddenly bent. Old thief, my cultivation is inferior to yours, but it's not as big as you imagined. I'm showing my weakness just to kill you. Now, your death has arrived. Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Boom! Dongfang Bingling's delicate body suddenly bounced, and the blue flame on her body suddenly burst out. It condensed into a palm-sized Yin flame in the air and shot toward Yin Tianchong. Yin Tianchong was shocked. He hurriedly stopped expelling the cold poison and frantically dodged. Boom! But when the flame was still a dozen meters away from him, it suddenly exploded. Suddenly, a dazzling ray of light burst out in the air, like a miniature nuclear bomb exploding. Everything on the ground 1,000 meters below, whether it was boulders or people, were all turned into powder. The eaglemen flying in the air were directly distorted and instantly turned into charcoal. Yin Tianchong's body was completely engulfed by the flame and disappeared in an instant. After a full dozen seconds, the dazzling blue light gradually faded away. Yin Tianchong was still alive, but he was in a very sorry state. The robe on his body had long been burned into charcoal, including his hair and beard. Everything had turned into nothingness. Yin Tianchong, who originally had a sage-like demeanor, was now naked, dripping with blood, and riddled with scars. He was in a mess as he fell fiercely. However, he circulated his mystic qi and barely stopped his fall as he floated in the air. Dongfang Bingling saw the unbearably ugly Yin Tianchong and sneered. She instantly turned into a blue meteor as she raised her sword and rushed towards him. "Miss Dongfang, don't kill me, don't kill me. Let's make a deal. I will use a 9th-grade mystic skill to exchange for my life." Yin Tianchong was horrified as he exclaimed. "Dream on, no one can save you. Even if you use the world, you won't be able to exchange for your life. You dare to humiliate me. Not only will I kill you, I will also kill your entire clan." Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Then, she suddenly rushed forward. Swish 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 swish. The sharp sword in Dongfang Bingling's hand danced wildly as it fiercely pierced Yin Tianchong's body. Suddenly, a cloud of blood mist emerged along with Yin Tianchong's horrified and miserable hull. Swish 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 swish, Dongfang Bingling struck with her sword like lightning. A moment later, Yin Tianchong's miserable howl stopped. His entire body was directly chopped into dozens of pieces in the air. He died without a complete corpse. Instantly, the people on the ground were completely stupefied. Everything happened too quickly. Just a moment ago, Yin Tianchong still had the upper hand, but Dongfang Bingling was already at her last breath. They didn't expect for the situation to suddenly turn around. In the blink of an eye, Yin Tianchong was chopped into thousands of pieces. After killing Yin Tianchong, Dongfang Bingling's beautiful eyes suddenly looked towards Qin Huayu and the others. Instantly, Qin Huayu was horrified. Go! After exchanging glances with Gudu Wuhuan, the two of them suddenly bit their tongues and spat out a cloud of blood mist. They turned into a cloud of blood-red light and quickly fled, leaving Yan Biqin behind. Instantly, Yan Biqin was fighting day by day Bella alone. His expression changed as he endured a palm strike from the other party and retreated dozens of meters, escaping from the battle. However, day by day Bella didn't take the opportunity to kill him. Instead, she glanced at him indifferently and quickly turned towards the group of eaglemen to save her own clansmen. At this moment, only 5 of the 30 Foxman race experts were left. Yang Dingtian also rushed towards those Foxman race experts. Ever since Dongfang Bingling killed Yin Tianchong, the battle situation had completely changed. He could now save those Foxman race experts without any worries. Yan Biqin looked at Dongfang Bingling with a complicated gaze. He then tore off the mask on his face and revealed his charming face. "Fairy Dongfang, the true million spirit demon flame is still in your hands. Congratulations." Yan Biqin said, "If you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Now, do as you wish." Dongfang Bingling looked at him and said coldly, "At the central lake, you had already seized the mirage mystic flame from them and took advantage of them. Why do you want to get involved today?" Yan Biqin smiled bitterly and said, "Because the other party offered a price that I couldn't reject. I am courting death. Make your move." After speaking, Yan Biqin closed his eyes and stretched his neck. Dongfang Bingling sneered and said, "Even though you are putting on an act, you didn't kill me at the central lake. Today, I will spare your life. Leave now." Yan Biqin's body trembled slightly. He bowed and said, "Many thanks." Afterward, he turned around, circulated his mystic chi, and left quickly. On the other side, the enraged day-by-day Bella had killed the remaining 20 Foxman race experts. Furthermore, all of them were dismembered into thousands of pieces. As for Yang Dingtian, he used the holy water to save those Foxman race experts whose fates were still unknown. Even though the holy water could bring the dead back to life, those who were truly dead couldn't be revived. Therefore, only half of the 20 Foxman race experts who were lying on the ground were saved. Another 7 Foxman race experts were already dead. I can't express my gratitude with words. Day by day Bella came up and bowed towards Yang Dingtian. She then flew up to the island at the center of the lake and received Xiang Xiang. Yang Dingtian looked at Dongfang Bingling and felt a little strange. She obviously hated Qin Huayu to the bone. Why didn't she chase after him? Her Tao was so heaven-defying. It wouldn't take much effort for her to kill Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. Why didn't she chase after them? Seeing Yang Dingtian looking over, Dongfang Bingling said, "Shenlang, hurry up. Let's go. Now." Yang Dingtian was astonished. "That's right. Now," Dongfang Bingling said. Yang Dingtian looked at day-by-day Bella. He had just arrived at the island at the center of the lake and was comforting his daughter. Immediately, Yang Dingtian said to Dongfang Bingling, "I will bid farewell to Patriarch Zhuri." "No need. Hurry up and go. Let's go now," Dongfang Bingling said. After saying that, Dongfang Bingling went forward and carried Yang Dingtian. They flew towards the south at lightning speed. Yang Dingtian shouted, "Patriarch Zhuri, Xiang Xiang, farewell." Day by day Bella couldn't help but be astonished when she saw Yang Dingtian leaving in such a hurry. She carried Xiang Xiang and chased after him. Dongfang Bingling continued to fly forward and said, "Patriarch Zhuri, go to the Celestial Red Sea immediately. Bring enough food and water. When you see Saint Tantai, tell her everything that happened here. Otherwise, your Foxman race will be annihilated. Many thanks for young Lady Dongfang's guidance." "I will send you to the sea," said Zhuri Bela. "No. You have to go to the Celestial Red Sea with your fastest speed. Go now," Dongfang Bingling said. Day by day Bella's expression changed and said, "All right. Remember, our race has hidden a few boats on the Red Beach in the south. There are enough sailors and food on them. Furthermore, they are all human sailors that I use to communicate with Middle-earth. You can take this boat back." "Thank you, Patriarch," Yang Dingtian said. Xiang Xiang shouted from behind, "Brother Shenlang, I will wait for you to come back." Dongfang Bingling carried Yang Dingtian and flew towards the south at lightning speed. Day by day Bella and the others were getting further and further away until they could no longer be seen. Chapter 293. Dongfang Bingling flew over 100 miles with Yang Dingtian and found a hidden valley to descend. Just as she landed, she opened her small mouth and spat out a mouthful of blue blood. That's right, it was blue blood. Afterward, her delicate body staggered and almost couldn't stand straight. Yang Dingtian finally knew why she didn't chase after Qin Huayu and the others. It wasn't because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. After killing Yin Tianchong, her mystic chi was completely gone. This was why she left immediately and didn't even have time to bid farewell. "Shenlang, time is tight. I will speak and you will do," Dongfang Bingling said. "All right," Yang Dingtian replied. "The first thing is to quickly feed Dugu Fengwu a bit of holy water. Don't let her die, but she won't be able to recover quickly," Dongfang Bingling said while panting. Yang Dingtian placed Dugu Fengwu on the ground and helped Dongfang Bingling to sit down. Even though he didn't say anything, he looked at her with astonishment. Dongfang Bingling actually took the initiative to say that she wanted to save Dugu Fengwu. Didn't she always want to kill that demon woman? "I want to kill Qin Huayu because he is a traitor," Dongfang Bingling said. "If you weren't by my side, I would definitely be able to kill Dugu Fengwu. But because you are by my side, Dugu Fengwu must not die. You won't be able to withstand Dugu Zhao's torrential wrath. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, he will come and kill you. Yang Dingtian thought for a moment and took out a bit of holy water and fed it to Dugu Fengwu. Right now, Dugu Fengwu's entire chest was pierced. Even if her heart wasn't pierced, she was still bleeding profusely. If he didn't save her while she was unconscious, she would die soon. Right now, Yang Dingtian understood why Dugu Fengwu's blood mist light shield was ineffective when Yang Dingtian's large sword pierced over. That bad habit of hers was acting up again, and she suddenly became powerless. She had had this problem 2 or 3 times in the past, which made her very embarrassed. Previously, when she went to the central lake to obtain the mystic fire, Yang Dingtian thought that she had already recovered from this illness. Who would have thought that it would act up again just now? In an instant, it became weak and powerless, allowing Yang Dingtian to pierce through its chest. Otherwise, with Yang Dingtian's current cultivation, it was almost impossible for him to hurt her. She was at least a 5-star martial honorable. Once a martial artist reached the martial profound realm and above, there would be a qualitative difference. In the past, Yang Dingtian could even defeat opponents 1 level higher than him. Once one passes the martial profound realm, this situation becomes extremely difficult. As for martial ancestors and martial honorables, it was even more impossible. However, Yang Dingtian now possessed the mysterious flame, the yin-yang qi transformation technique, and the youngling sword. If he were to face a mere beginner martial honor, he would not be afraid. However, Dugu Fengwu was at least a 5 or 6-star martial honorable, and the difference was too huge. After drinking a little bit of the sacred water, the originally pale and colorless Dugu Fengwu finally regained some color. The huge wound on her chest also started to stop bleeding and was gradually healing. However, she still did not wake up. Dongfang Bingling was still not at ease as she went forward and locked Dugu Fengwu's mystic meridians. Therefore, even if she suddenly woke up, she would not be able to harm anyone. The second matter is that Yin Tianchong's cultivation is much higher than mine. Therefore, I pretended to be weak first, causing him to lose his guard and suffer from my Yin flame and cold poison. After that, I used the same evil art as Gudu Wuhuan to increase my mystic qi cultivation by several folds. Furthermore, I used the mystic flame to ignite the mystic qi in my entire body. Only then was I able to kill Yin Tianchong, who was 4 stars higher than me. However, I also became extremely weak, which was why I immediately brought you and left. Dongfang Bingling said, otherwise, if Yan Biqin, Gudu Wuhuan, and Qin Huayu woke up and killed their way back, we would be in danger. Isn't there still day by day Bella? Yang Dingtian said, she is also a master. I will not place my hopes on others. Dongfang Bingling said, evil ways have obviously started to set up in the Dongli grassland. If we don't leave, their reinforcements will arrive very soon. This was for sure. Yin Tianchong kept mentioning the sacred cult, the young lord, and wanted to refine Dongfang Bingling into an absolute beauty puppet for that young lord. Therefore, the other party's influence in the Dongli grassland was definitely not small. It was also because of this reason that Dongfang Bingling asked Day by Day Bella to immediately head to the celestial Red Sea. As long as Tantai gave the order, no one in the Dongli grassland would dare to make a move. Otherwise, the Foxman race would immediately be annihilated. For the next 10 days, I will not be able to use any mystic qi. Therefore, I will have to completely rely on your protection. Dongfang Bingling said, Qin Huayu and the others will immediately wake up and send out a large number of experts to chase after us. Therefore, we cannot stay here for a moment. We have to use the fastest speed to leave the Dongli grassland and take the ship back to the northwest continent. You know flying mystic skills and have the void spirit mystic wings. Don't be stingy with your mystic qi and use all your strength to fly. Don't let Qin Huayu and the others catch up to you. Bring along Dugu Fengwu. If necessary, you can use her as a hostage. All right. Yang Dingtian said. Dongfang Bingling went forward and leaned on Yang Dingtian's back. Her hands hugged onto Yang Dingtian's upper body as she slowly closed her beautiful eyes and started to recuperate. I can still give you some of my holy water. Yang Dingtian said. It is useless. I am not injured. I have overdrawn all my chi vessel and mystic meridians. Dongfang Bingling said, let's go quickly. Don't bother about me along the way. If Qin Huayu catches up to us, and Dugu Fengwu is useless as a hostage, you can hand me over. Impossible. Yang Dingtian said, I cannot bear such a huge humiliation. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian carried Dongfang Bingling on his back and carried the unconscious Dugu Fengwu in front. He suddenly flapped his mystic wings and flew into the sky. He circulated his flying mystic skills and flew towards the south. At this moment, he was about 4,000 miles away from the seaside. Yang Dingtian's void spirit mystic wings had a speed of about 200 kilometers per hour. However, his flying mystic skills could reach a speed of about 400 kilometers per hour. Combined, he could reach a speed of about 500 kilometers per hour, which was equivalent to 1,000 miles. However, the consumption of mystic skills for this kind of flying was extremely shocking. Just like this, Yang Dingtian flew towards the south at a speed of over 1,000 miles per hour at a height of 1,000 meters. At this moment, everything on the ground was just like ants. Looking from the ground to the sky, Yang Dingtian was just a black dot like a bird. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to discover him. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's heart surged with an absurd feeling. Dugu Fengwu and Dongfang Bingling, this pair of absolute beauties who couldn't coexist with each other, were actually on his body. Both of them were extremely weak. The consumption of mystic qi for this kind of flying was simply too shocking. In just 2 hours, Yang Dingtian's mystic qi had been completely depleted. Yang Dingtian landed in this desolate valley and consumed a mystic gathering elixir. After that, he adjusted his breathing for 15 minutes. Immediately, his qi sea was filled with mystic qi again. This mystic gathering elixir seemed to have shocking effects, but in fact, it was absolutely not to be consumed unless it was absolutely necessary. This was because one could only consume one mystic gathering elixir in a short period of time. If he were to consume 2 elixirs consecutively, the damage to his qi sea and mystic meridians would be absolutely shocking and irreversible. Even if he were to consume only 1 elixir, the consequences would be rather severe. It would cause his mystic meridians to stagnate. However, he couldn't care so much now. After recovering his mystic qi, Yang Dingtian carried Dugu Fengwu once again and flew towards the south at almost full speed. After an hour, they had left the Dongli grassland. Because they were flying at an extremely high altitude, they could intentionally avoid the half-human race flying at high altitudes. Therefore, the journey was more daunting than dangerous. Even though they were chased by a few flying half-human race, their speed wasn't as fast as Yang Dingtian. Furthermore, they didn't encounter any formidable experts. At this moment, there was already a boundless desert below. It was about 2,000 miles of desert. After an hour, Yang Dingtian's mystic qi was depleted again. At this moment, the sky was already dark. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to land on the dangerous desert. That's right, compared to the Dongli grassland, the desert was much more dangerous. This was because the desert didn't have any cover, and there were half-human races patrolling cavalry everywhere. Fortunately, Dongfang Bingling reacted quickly. After chasing Qin Huayu away, she immediately left at full speed. Therefore, by the time Qin Huayu and the others reacted, even if they sent experts to chase after them, they wouldn't be able to catch up. Furthermore, even if they sent a messenger bird to inform the patrolling army, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. There were very few messenger birds that were faster than Yang Dingtian. Of course, it wasn't that good Wu Huan and Qin Huayu didn't have any flying mystic skills. In fact, their flying speed was even faster than Yang Dingtian. However, they might not do something that consumed a lot of mystic qi. Even if they did it, Yang Dingtian and the rest had left early. Even if they flew at full speed, they might not be able to catch up. After landing on the desert, Yang Dingtian quickly dug a sand nest. He then brought Dongfang Bingling and Dugu Fengwu into the sand nest. He needed 4 hours to absorb the battle mystic qi. These 4 hours were the most dangerous period of their lives. These 4 hours were enough for Qin Huayu and the rest to catch up. However, there was no other choice. Yang Dingtian had to recover his mystic qi before leaving. Yang Dingtian's luck wasn't bad. Just as he entered the sand nest, there was a storm above. Countless sand dunes started to move randomly, erasing all the traces that Yang Dingtian left behind. Merely an hour later, Yang Dingtian could clearly hear the hurried sound of horse hooves coming from above. That's right, the pursuers were here. Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huayu had sent out a shocking number of patrolling cavalries to conduct a carpet search. According to the intensity and density of the sounds, Yang Dingtian estimated that there were at least a few thousand cavalries. There were also hellhounds and flying blind hawks accompanying them. These two demonic beasts had a fearsome sense of smell. Even if they were a few hundred meters away or a few dozen meters deep, they would still be able to smell. Right now, Yang Dingtian's sand nest was only a few dozen meters underground. It was obvious that the flying blind hawks would be able to smell it. In fact, these beasts had already smelled it. Yang Dingtian could hear them howling as they rushed over. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's hair stood on end as he felt a fatal danger. His mystic qi had just recovered by half, and he naturally wasn't afraid of ordinary patrolling cavalries. However, once he was entangled by these enemies, Qin Huayu and the rest would be here soon. By then, only death would await him. However, Yang Dingtian naturally had a way. He quickly took out a snow-white jade-like item from his spatial ring. Sister Ningning was the best beast speaker, and this silent jade fragrance was brewed by her. With this item, he could make all the demonic beasts with a high sense of smell within a few hundred meters lose their sense of smell. They would be completely unable to discover Yang Dingtian's existence. Yang Dingtian circulated his mystic qi and roasted this silent jade fragrance, letting this special smell spread out. It was indeed useful. Soon, the group of beasts that were desperately chasing him stopped in their tracks because their noses couldn't feel anything. Then, Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and continued to absorb mystic qi. Even so, the patrolling cavalries above still carefully searched the ground for nearly an hour before leaving like a whirling cloud. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief, and then continued to absorb the battle mystic qi. After more than 2 hours, Yang Dingtian finally filled his energy sea again. After confirming that there was no one on the sand, Yang Dingtian suddenly rushed out of the desert and flew into the air. He flew higher and higher, until he was a few thousand meters high. Looking down from the sky, Yang Dingtian immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Because he was in the desert, his field of vision was unobstructed. In this red desert, there were densely packed patrolling cavalries everywhere. They all held torches and carried out a carpet search of the entire desert. What Yang Dingtian encountered just now was only one of them. Yang Dingtian estimated that there were about 30 to 40,000 patrolling cavalries in the entire desert. The power of such a large number of cavalries was incomparably shocking. It seemed that the evil ways had infiltrated the Dongli grasslands much more than he had imagined. The power they controlled was also much more than Yang Dingtian had imagined. Moreover, there were hundreds of red dots in the air. They were hundreds of flying mystic cavalry, searching in the air. In order to hunt down Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling, they had used such a shocking force. However, it was fortunate that Yang Dingtian had the silent fragrant jade, so it was difficult for these flying beasts to discover him. However, to be safe, Yang Dingtian took the risk and flew higher and higher. He flew to a height of 4,000 meters before continuing to fly south. As he flew south, Yang Dingtian still saw densely packed cavalries, carrying out a carpet search of the entire desert. Now, Yang Dingtian had to correct his previous statement. There were not only 30 to 40,000 cavalries searching for Yang Dingtian in the desert, but there were more than 100,000 of them. Yang Dingtian's heart instantly became heavy. These 100,000 cavalries were obviously provided by the half-human race at the edge of the desert. When the time came for a huge battle, the evil ways in the Dongli grasslands would not only be able to mobilize a few 100,000, but a few million. It seemed that the half-human race would be included in the allied forces of the evil ways in this world-ending battle. For the past 1,000 years, the peace between humans and the half-human race might be completely over. An hour later, Yang Dingtian finally flew through the entire desert and arrived at the long coastline. In front of him was the boundless sea. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally escaped from the pursuit of Qin Huayu and the others. Following that, Yang Dingtian circled in the air, looking for the Foxman race's ships. However, at the agreed location with Day by Day Bella, there were no traces of any ships. On the contrary, he saw a pile of burned ships and a pile of corpses. Yang Dingtian's heart immediately turned cold. It seemed that they had taken action in advance and burned all the ships left behind by the Foxman race. They had also killed all of the people. At this moment, there was a sudden roar in the desert. Then, someone pointed in Yang Dingtian's direction. Not good, they had discovered Yang Dingtian. Immediately, hundreds of flying cavalries rushed into the sky and chased after Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian hurriedly flew at full speed in the direction of the northwest continent. Chapter 294. The Dongli grassland was about 8,000 miles away from the northwest continent. Yang Dingtian had just flown 5,000 miles from the Sun and Moon Lake to the seaside. Now, it didn't seem like a big deal to fly another 8,000 miles. However, the difference was that Yang Dingtian could rest for the previous 5,000 miles. But now, it was the vast sea, and Yang Dingtian didn't have any place to rest. When Yang Dingtian took the ship to the Dongli grassland, he didn't see any islands along the 8,000 miles of sea. Of course, when Yang Dingtian was cultivating his spiritual technique, he had stayed underwater for a few hours. Because of the special elixir, it wasn't impossible to stay underwater. However, Yang Dingtian wasn't alone now. There was also the severely injured Dugu Fengwu and Dongfang Bingling, who was recuperating. Furthermore, it was possible to cultivate one's spiritual energy underwater, but it was difficult to absorb battle mystic qi. However, Yang Dingtian couldn't be bothered about it because there were hundreds of flying cavalry chasing after him. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to fly forward with all his might. However, the flying cavalry's speed was much slower than Yang Dingtian's. Therefore, they were left behind by Yang Dingtian, but they were still chasing closely. Just like that, Yang Dingtian used his fastest speed to fly a few hundred miles. "Child, I have to remind you." Suddenly, Dongfang Minmi said, "You are using mystic qi to fly at such a high intensity. You have already reached the critical point. Following this, it will cause permanent damage to your mystic meridians." Yang Dingtian was instantly shocked and said, "Master, I can't use mystic skills to fly for a long time." "Of course. That's why even great grandmaster level experts travel thousands of miles on the sea by boat and not by flying. You have already reached your limit by flying 5,000 miles like this. And this is because you have 9 Yang Xian veins. If it were anyone else, flying 3,000 miles would have already caused great damage." Dongfang Minmi said, "After all, humans are not flying creatures." Hearing his master's words, Yang Dingtian was very worried, but there was nothing he could do because there were still hundreds of people chasing after him. If he continued to fly, only his profound veins would be damaged. If he stopped, he would probably lose his life. Therefore, even though Yang Dingtian knew that it would harm his profound veins, he had no way of stopping it. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian discovered something that was even worse. Because his profound energy is about to run out again. This time, he didn't manage to last for 2,000 miles. He only managed to last for a little more than 1,000 miles before his profound energy was completely depleted. Yang Dingtian was greatly alarmed as he felt his profound qi becoming more and more exhausted. Now that his profound qi had been exhausted, he was definitely on the path to death. Any one of the hundreds of flying cavalrymen behind him would be able to take his life. Following the exhaustion of his profound qi, Yang Dingtian's flying speed became slower and slower. The flying cavalrymen behind him were getting closer and closer. Yang Dingtian could even hear their fierce battle cries and sinister expressions. Yang Dingtian looked at Dugu Fengwu, who was in his embrace. The ones chasing after them were the Ban race's flying cavalrymen. Therefore, Dugu Fengwu was probably useless as a hostage. Could it be that he was really going to die in this sea? According to the rules, one could only consume one mystic gathering pill every 3 to 4 days. A few hours ago, Yang Dingtian had just consumed one. If he were to consume a second one now, the consequences would be extremely severe. Even if he were to take a huge risk and consume a second mystic gathering pill, he might not be able to condense much profound qi. But at this moment, Yang Dingtian really had no other choice. He took out a mystic gathering pill from his spatial ring. Even if the consequences were severe, he had to consume it. Swish 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 swish. Right at this moment, there was an orderly sound on the surface of the sea. Then, a bundle of concentrated red light was shot out. There were a total of 4 ships on the surface of the sea. Earlier on, Yang Dingtian was anxious and was only paying attention to the pursuers behind him. He didn't pay attention to the surface of the sea. He didn't expect for there to be 4 ships on the surface of the sea. The concentrated red light that was shot into the sky came from the energy crossbows on the ships. These energy crossbows used wind elemental crystals as the power source and fire elemental crystals as the arrowheads. They were extremely lethal. A large ship could shoot dozens of energy arrows at once. 4 large ships could shoot over 100 energy arrows at once. Yang Dingtian could clearly see that these energy arrows were like rockets on Earth. They flew past him and towards the half-human race's flying cavalrymen behind him. Even though they dodged immediately, there were still dozens of half-human race's flying cavalrymen who were hit in the sky and fell into the sea. Not long after the first round of arrows, there was a second round of arrows, and then a third round of arrows. Immediately, the remaining half-human race's flying cavalrymen changed their direction and scattered in all directions to avoid the concentrated energy arrows. Yang Dingtian saw clearly that the flag on the ship was from the Foxman race. On the deck, there were also traces of the Foxman race, but there weren't many. Most of the sailors and warriors were actually humans. This should be Day by Day Bella's smuggling ship. That was why there were so many humans on the ship. Because they had always been close to humans, Day by Day Bella had a smuggling fleet that engaged in all kinds of trade and communication with humans. Yang Dingtian quickly landed on the deck of the large ship. Immediately, 2 Foxman warriors stepped forward and bowed. "May I know your name?" "Na Lu, also known as Shen Lang." Yang Dingtian replied. "You are indeed great Master Na Lu." The Foxman warrior leader said, "I am the warrior leader of the Middle-Earth's fleet. 2 days ago, I received an order from the clan leader to pick you up at the coastline and send you to the northwest continent of Middle-Earth. Our fleet was supposed to head out to sea yesterday, but in order to wait for you, we waited until today. Who knew that a few hours ago, our fleet that was docked at the pier suffered a devastating attack from an army of a few thousand soldiers? Our 4 ships were able to escape this calamity because we were patrolling on the surface of the sea." Yang Dingtian asked, "How many ships did your Middle-Earth's fleet originally have?" 13 ships. That leader said, 9 ships were destroyed and over 1,000 men were killed. Immediately, Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with guilt. It was because they were here to pick him up that the Foxman race's Middle-Earth's fleet suffered such a huge blow and lost over 1,000 men. Hurry up and return to the cabin to rest. Leave the matters above to us." That Foxman race warrior leader said. "Thank you for the trouble." Yang Dingtian didn't return to the cabin. Instead, he placed Dugu Fengwu and Dongfang Bingling down and sat cross-legged on the deck to devour the battle mystic qi. At this moment, the remaining few hundred half-human race's flying knights were still preparing to surround the 4 ships and kill them from the sky. However, these energy crossbows were too incisive. In just a short period of time, they killed over 100 men and caused these half-human race's flying knights to be terror-stricken. When there were less than 100 of them left, these flying knights were finally afraid and flew back unwillingly. That warrior leader came in front of Yang Dingtian and bowed. Master Na Lu, the enemy has retreated. Many thanks, leader. Yang Dingtian said. Afterward, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but let out a long breath of relief. But at this moment, two black dots approached from afar and quickly chased after the four large ships. Yang Dingtian's back suddenly felt a chill. The Foxman race's warrior leader focused his eyes and ordered, "Prepare all the energy crossbows. Shoot!" When the two black dots entered the killing radius, the Foxman race's warrior leader gave the order. Swish 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 swish. Over 100 energy crossbows ferociously shot at the two black dots and instantly enveloped them. The two of them didn't dodge and allowed the energy crossbows to hit them. However, they were completely unscathed. Before the energy crossbows even got close to their bodies, they were shattered into pieces. These two were absolute experts. Yang Dingtian quickly saw the two of them clearly. As expected, they were Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huayu. At this moment, they were riding on two huge dark bats and were chasing after Yang Dingtian at a speed of over 1,000 miles per hour. In just a short moment, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were already a few hundred meters behind the ship. Mr. Shenlang, you guys still couldn't escape from our evil clutches. Gudu Wuhuan said, you guys almost escaped. At that time, I felt strange. Since Fairy Dongfang was so powerful, why didn't she chase after us directly? Therefore, after escaping for an hour, we knew the reason. In order to kill Yin Tianchong, Fairy Dongfang had already exhausted all her mystic qi. It wasn't that she didn't want to kill us, but that she couldn't. Subsequently, Gudu Wuhuan said, in order to kill you guys, we dispatched 160,000 half-human race members. We didn't expect you to actually run over 5,000 miles and only found you on the sea. However, Mr. Shenlang, you can't escape now, right? The Foxman race leader's eyes congealed as he stared at Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. He said coldly, all warriors of the Central Fleet, prepare for battle. Yes. Immediately, over 200 warriors pulled out their sharp swords and arranged themselves into battle formations on the various ships. Yang Dingtian stood up and said, brave warriors of the Foxman race, you guys can withdraw. This is a matter between me and them. We will settle it ourselves. Subsequently, Yang Dingtian said to Qin Huayu, these people are innocent. Let them go. If you have any problems, come at me. Apologies. Because they helped you, they have to die. Gudu Wuhuan said indifferently, since we have mobilized over 100,000 men, we wouldn't mind killing a few hundred more Foxman race members. Gudu Wuhuan looked at the unconscious Dugu Fengwu and said, Shenlang, hand Fengwu over, and we can let you and Dongfang Bingling die comfortably. Otherwise, no matter how tragic the scene is, it will befall upon you guys. Qin Huayu looked at Dongfang Bingling, who was seated cross-legged with her eyes closed, and said, Fairy Dongfang, I am incomparably shocked that you were able to kill Yin Tianchong. However, you still ended up in my hands. That might not be the case. Right at this moment, Dongfang Bingling suddenly opened her eyes and shot out a bright and threatening gaze. Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were shocked as they instinctively turned and wanted to escape. It was obvious that they were indeed frightened by Dongfang Bingling. This woman's strength and ruthlessness were far beyond their imagination. In order to kill her, they had set up a huge trap twice, but they didn't succeed. Instead, a master-class expert, Yin Tianchong, was killed by her. But after a short moment, Qin Huayu laughed and said, stop putting on an act, Fairy Dongfang. In order to kill Yin Tianchong, you have already overdraft all your mystic qi. You can forget about recovering in less than half a month. At the Sun and Moon Lake, your empty fort strategy scared us away. Don't think of using the same trick a second time. Immediately after, Qin Huayu looked at Yang Dingtian and said, don't even think about using that young lady Dugu to threaten us. It is useless. Finishing his statement, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan swooped down and hovered dozens of meters above Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling, giving the entire ship immense pressure. Dongfang Bingling stared coldly at the two of them before slowly drawing her sharp sword again. Stop putting on an act, Fairy Dongfang. You are already unable to withstand a single blow. Qin Huayu laughed and said, even at this time, you are still putting on the airs of a direct immortal? Shenlang, after I die, send my keepsake back to the Yinyang school. Dongfang Bingling was cold. Then, she handed something over to Yang Dingtian and said, if Guda Wu Huan and Qin Huayu still have corpses, chop off their heads and send them back to the Yinyang school as well. Finishing her statement, Dongfang Bingling suddenly released a powerful battle intent. Immediately, Yang Dingtian and the others' expression changed. They didn't expect Dongfang Bingling to still talk about Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan's corpses at this time. From her words, she actually wanted to kill the two of them. Qin Huayu sneered and said with disdain, Fairy Dongfang, enough of your acting. You still want to kill us at this time? Dream on. After we captured you, we originally planned to hand you over to be made into a puppet and didn't plan to do anything to you. However, your pretentious actions made me very unhappy. Then, don't blame us for tarnishing and humiliating you later. After all, you are the #1 beauty in the world. You asked for all of this. Finishing their statement, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan suddenly pulled out their sharp swords. Their faces were filled with evil intent. From their words, not only did Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan want to make Dongfang Bingling into an evil puppet, they also wanted to tarnish her. Dongfang Bingling's gaze turned cold. I am not like you guys. I have never acted before. Last time, I overdrew my sea of qi and mystic veins. This time, I have overdrawn my life. Is it enough to kill you? Even when talking about perishing together, Dongfang Bingling's voice and expression were calm. There wasn't much generosity, but it was filled with determination. Once these words were spoken, Qin Huayu's expression changed greatly. His face trembled as he said, do you think I will believe you? Dongfang Bingling didn't reply. Boom! A terrifying flame suddenly emerged from her body and instantly burned fiercely. A surge of murderous aura burst out from her body. The ship beneath her feet shook violently, and the surrounding sea surface trembled violently, setting off huge waves. Everyone could clearly feel that Dongfang Bingling's entire life was burning. Shen Lang, fly up and leave immediately. Dongfang Bingling turned to Yang Dingtian and said, go back and tell Yang Dingtian that I will not be able to participate in the martial competition 3 years later. However, he is definitely not a match for me. No one in this world can surpass me, and Yang Dingtian is even more impossible. Go! Afterward, Dongfang Bingling yelled out and ordered Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian put down Dugu Fengwu and slowly drew out his youngling sword. He said, I will not leave. I might be very weak and am only here to make up the numbers. However, I don't wish to leave now. I will fight alongside you. With me around, it will not be your turn. Dongfang Bingling had already completely turned into a terrifying flame as she spoke coldly. Swish! Afterward, Dongfang Bingling suddenly rushed towards the sky and killed towards Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. At this moment, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were inconsolably appalled. They didn't expect Dongfang Bingling to be so resolute. Seeing how Dongfang Bingling was so ferocious that she wanted to perish together with them, Qin Huayu was truly scared out of his soul. Fairy Dongfang, there is no need to risk your life, there is no need to risk your life. We are only here to capture you, not to kill you. There is no need to risk your life. Qin Huayu quickly retreated and yelled out. Dongfang Bingling can die, but I must not be captured. Dongfang Bingling said. Qin Huayu spoke with a trembling voice, all right then, we will not capture you. We will leave immediately. Finishing his statement, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were about to turn and flee. It is too late. Those who dare to insult me will all die. Dongfang Bingling spoke with a cold voice. She suddenly raised her flaming longsword and slashed at Qin Huayu. Boom! Qin Huayu tried his best to dodge, but he still wasn't able to. Swish! His entire left arm was scraped. Half of his arm was instantly sliced off, causing blood to spurt out violently. Qin Huayu let out a miserable howl. In an instant, Yang Dingtian felt an incomparably huge and gentle force pushing him onto the deck of the ship. Shen Lang, live on well. Remember me occasionally and think of me. Dongfang Bingling's gentle voice echoed in Yang Dingtian's ears. Chapter 295. Shen Lang, live on well. Remember me occasionally and think of me. Dongfang Bingling's gentle voice sounded in Yang Dingtian's ears. Then, Dongfang Bingling's body completely disappeared. She turned into a terrifying flame and pounced towards Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. She used the mystic flame to ignite her vitality and qi si. She wanted to blast Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan to death. She wanted to perish together with them. Yang Dingtian's eyes instantly turned hot. His entire body was trembling. This woman might not make people feel comfortable, but she was definitely admirable. She was as cold as ice, but her temperament was as fiery as fire. She was a woman, and she was the #1 beauty in the world. However, no man could subdue her. No man could turn her into a real woman. Then, under Yang Dingtian's trembling gaze, Dongfang Bingling's raging flame carried a sky-piercing energy and terrifying mystic flame. She wanted to devour Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. Both parties wanted to perish together. Dongfang Bingling would also perish along with them. He really didn't want Dongfang Bingling to die. Who were Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan? Compared to Dongfang Bingling, they were like dog shit. It wasn't worth it to perish together with them. However, Yang Dingtian didn't have the strength to stop all of this from happening. He couldn't do anything. He could only shout towards Dongfang Bingling in the air, "Dongfang Bingling, I am Yang Dingtian." Dongfang Bingling didn't have any reaction. She was still raging and was about to be completely annihilated. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to despair, just as Dongfang Bingling, Qin Huayu, and Gudu Wuhuan were about to perish together. Suddenly, an incomparably powerful energy shrouded down and covered the entire sea surface. Yang Dingtian suddenly felt a force like Mount Tai pressing down on him. Everyone on the ship was trembling at this moment, not daring to move. At the same time, the raging flames on Dongfang Bingling's body gradually became smaller and finally extinguished. Dongfang Bingling, who was in the air, fell from the sky with a pale face. Yang Dingtian hurried forward and reached out to catch Dongfang Bingling. Dongfang Bingling's delicate body fell heavily into Yang Dingtian's arms. She was unconscious and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. Qin Huayu, Gudu Wuhuan, you two really make me feel ashamed. Suddenly, a thunderous voice resounded in the sky. Then, a golden voice descended from the sky. Yang Dingtian was very familiar with this person. The palace master of the Temple of Blood, the great devil of evil ways, De Gushao. He was one of the top experts in this world who was closest to the saint level. Even though he was far away and didn't show himself, he easily suppressed Dongfang Bingling's self-destruction. The moment he appeared, everyone was trembling. De Gushao landed on the ship and slowly walked to Gudu Fengwu's side. He picked her up and faced Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian, did you stab my daughter? Yang Dingtian nodded. Gudu Zhao's eyes narrowed. He ignored Yang Dingtian and looked toward Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan at lightning speed. At this moment, the two of them were still trembling slightly and their faces were still pale. Sigh. De Gushao said, it seems that my evil ways really doesn't have any talents. Be it Gudu Fengwu or Gudu Wuhuan, they are far inferior compared to Dongfang Bingling. Immediately after, Gudu Shao said to Gudu Wuhuan, you still want to marry Fengwu? Do you still have any shame? Once this was said, Gudu Wuhuan's expression instantly changed as he felt extremely humiliated. If it wasn't for your parents, I wouldn't have saved the two of you. I would have let the two of you die in the hands of Dongfang Bingling. De Gushao said coldly, now, the two of you can get lost. Yes. Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan hurriedly bowed before leaping onto a flying mount and flying towards the north. They didn't dare to stay in Dugu Zhao's field of vision any longer. The further, the better. After Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan left, Dugu Zhao looked at Yang Dingtian indifferently and said, "You killed my daughter and almost caused her to lose her life. However, I won't kill you. The grudges between you and Dugu Fengwu shall be settled by the two of you. After she recovers, it's none of my business whether she will dismember you into pieces, spare your life, or even marry you. You better take care of yourself." Finishing his statement, Dugu Zhao soared into the sky and was about to leave with Dugu Fengwu. "Senior," Yang Dingtian shouted, "may I ask if you have a way to save Dongfang Bingling?" At this moment, Yang Dingtian couldn't feel Dongfang Bingling's pulse and breathing at all. Previously, Dongfang Bingling had been sealed in ice and was silent. She had even stopped breathing and heartbeat. However, there was still vitality circulating within her chi vessel. At this moment, Yang Dingtian really couldn't feel any vitality from Dongfang Bingling. Therefore, even though he knew that Dugu Zhao was a great devil and an extremely evil one, Yang Dingtian still couldn't help but ask. "Don't waste your energy. The mystic flame is burning her chi vessel and vitality. No one can save her. She is already dead," Dugu Zhao said. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's body trembled violently as though he was struck by lightning. He stared blankly at Dongfang Bingling's lifeless face. Dugu Zhao sneered and continued to leave. Suddenly, Dugu Zhao said, "Yang Dingtian, after forging the youngling's sword in the Fire Cloud Devil Cave, Fengwu returned home once. However, she quickly ran away from home, and it has been more than 10 months since then. I specially came out to look for her, and it has been almost half a year." At this time, Yang Dingtian was inconsolable. After hearing Dugu Zhao's words, he had no idea what he was talking about. Alas! Dugu Zhao sighed and continued to fly away. However, his direction was the north. He didn't return to the northwest continent, but flew in the direction of the Dongli grassland. Yang Dingtian sat on the deck with Dongfang Bingling in his arms. He didn't react at all. He couldn't tell if it was sadness or some other feeling. It was just that he had lost interest in everything around him. He really couldn't accept that Dongfang Bingling was going to die. She hadn't even competed with him, and the 5-year agreement hadn't even arrived yet, but she was going to die. How could this be? She was so powerful, so arrogant, and the #1 genius in 400 years. How could she die? Perhaps it was fate that made so many things happen between the two of them, who were like enemies and enemies, in the Dongli grassland. They were entangled with each other again and again, and in the end, she died in Yang Dingtian's arms. Why was it like this? Why was it like this? In Yang Dingtian's grief and stupefaction, the leader of the Foxman race sighed, and then ordered the ship to set sail in the direction of the northwest continent. His master, Dongfang Minmi, also clearly knew what had happened. He didn't make any sound, and was also immersed in incomparable grief. He didn't open his mouth to comfort Yang Dingtian. At this time, Yang Dingtian suddenly discovered that Dongfang Bingling's body had changed. Originally, her skin was completely ice-cold, but now, it was gradually becoming rosy. Then, her whole body gradually regained vitality. Then, her breathing gradually recovered, and her heartbeat gradually recovered. Although her breathing and heartbeat were still incomparably weak, they were finally there. Yang Dingtian was so surprised and ecstatic that he lost all his senses. What was going on? Didn't Dugu Zhao say that no one could save Dongfang Bingling? Wasn't Dongfang Bingling doomed? Just now, she indeed seemed to have died. How did she come back to life? Yang Dingtian asked in surprise and puzzlement, "Master, what's going on? How did this happen?" Dongfang Minmi was also very excited, and said with a trembling voice, perhaps it's because of your blood. Back then, in order to thaw her, you transferred a third of your blood into her body. Because you have the 9 yang profound veins, at the last moment, you protected her trace of life. Also, because of Dugu Zhao's arrival, her sea of qi didn't have time to explode, so she saved her life. Yang Dingtian, so you saved her life again. Dongfang Minmi said with a trembling voice. No matter what, it's good that she didn't die, it's good that she didn't die. Yang Dingtian said with a trembling voice. Then, Yang Dingtian hurriedly carried her into the cabin, took out a cup of holy water, and poured it into her small mouth. Immediately, her breathing became more stable, her heartbeat became more vigorous, and her skin became more rosy. Next, the big ship sailed at full speed on the sea. Dongfang Bingling was still unconscious. Yang Dingtian once again returned to taking care of her meticulously. He really took care of her meticulously. Compared to when her divine sense stopped, he took care of her even more meticulously. Of course, it was also more intimate, or more embarrassing. Just like this, after sailing with the wind for 4 days, the 8,000-mile sea voyage was about to end. The northwest continent in front of them was faintly visible. He came back, bringing back the unconscious Dongfang Bingling. Chapter 296. Yang Dingtian had returned with the unconscious Dongfang Bingling. At this moment, the northwest continent was like a giant beast squatting in the darkness. It stood at the end of the sea and was about a few hundred miles away. They would probably be able to set foot on the northwest continent at dawn tomorrow. The next day, at the first glimmer of dawn, the ship gradually came to a stop. Yang Dingtian was still sitting cross-legged on the bed, practicing the mysterious force-breathing technique. For the past few days of sailing, other than taking care of Dongfang Bingling, Yang Dingtian spent almost all of his time practicing the mysterious force-breathing technique. With the mystic fire, his normal cultivation speed had also improved by leaps and bounds. Ordinary people could only practice the mysterious force-breathing technique for 3 to 4 hours a day, and it was during the time when everything woke up in the morning. Even so, the mysterious force that entered the body was still full of impurities. Only a small portion of it could enter the Qi after being refined and purified. The yin-yang Qi transformation technique that Yang Dingtian originally possessed was able to dissolve the attack mystic Qi with intense attributes into pure mystic Qi that didn't have any attack attribute, which was used to increase his cultivation. However, there was still no good way to deal with the impurities in the mysterious force. With the mystic fire, it was completely different. No matter how turbid the mysterious force was, after being burned and refined by the mystic fire, it would immediately become incomparably pure and could directly enter the Qi. Therefore, if not for taking care of Dongfang Bingling, Yang Dingtian could practice 24 hours a day. For a warrior at Yang Dingtian's level, if he wanted to break through from a 6-star martial arts grandmaster to a 7-star martial arts grandmaster, he would have to depend on the mysterious force. The most important thing was the Xian vein talent, at least 7th grade Xian vein talent. For someone with a 7th grade mystic vein talent, it would be difficult to break through to a 7-star martial arts grandmaster after cultivating for 10 years. For a 7th grade mystic vein talent, it would take 3 to 4 years of normal cultivation to break through to the next level. For an 8th grade mystic vein talent, it would take at least 2 years. For someone like Dongfang Bingling, who had a 9th grade superior mystic vein talent, it might only take a year. However, all of this was based on the fact that he did not have the mystic fire. Once he had the mystic fire, his cultivation speed would at least double. This was because the cultivation time could be increased by at least 2-fold, and the refining efficiency of profound energy could also be increased by at least 2-fold. Therefore, in theory, a level 9 mystic veins martial artist would only need 3 months to break through to level 7 from 6-star martial arts grandmaster. Yang Dingtian had the 9 yang profound veins, so it was unknown how long it would take for him to break through to the 7-star martial ancestor realm. However, Yang Dingtian hoped that he could create a miracle. Mr. Na Lu, we have already arrived at the northwest continent. For safety reasons, we have docked at a secret coast. Then, we will send a small boat to send you to the shore. The leader of the Foxman race stepped forward and said. All right. When Yang Dingtian heard the Foxman race chief's words, he stopped his mystic breathing technique and instinctively looked towards Dongfang Bingling, who was on the opposite bed. With a single glance, he was shocked. Because Dongfang Bingling's ship was empty. During this period of time, she had been in a coma. How could she suddenly disappear? Could it be that last night, someone had taken advantage of Yang Dingtian's cultivation to kidnap Dongfang Bingling? That was impossible. Although Yang Dingtian was cultivating, he was still extremely alert, especially when they were close to the northwest continent. For safety reasons, the leader of the Foxman race had chosen to dock at the coast of the Northwest Qin family's territory. However, the entire northwest continent was diffused by the Qin family's power. Yang Dingtian had to be careful. If a person wanted to kidnap Dongfang Bingling from Yang Dingtian's side silently, he would at least be an advanced master or even a great grandmaster. Yang Dingtian did not make a sound. He immediately got off the bed and went to Dongfang Bingling's bed to search for traces of her. Soon, Yang Dingtian found a note on the bedside. The handwriting on it was very beautiful and filled with sword essence. It was Dongfang Bingling's handwriting. "I'm leaving. Thank you for taking care of me in every possible way during this period of time. I can clearly feel everything." Seeing this, Yang Dingtian's heart suddenly jumped. What she meant in the letter was that although she had been in a coma with her eyes closed during this period of time, she knew everything clearly. During this period of time, Yang Dingtian had taken care of her. He had done everything. It was truly meticulous. He had cleaned her body and even did more intimate things. Of course, he had done it when Dongfang Bingling's consciousness had stopped. However, at that time, Dongfang Bingling was unconscious. Over the past few days, she was well aware of the situation. This level of intimacy could only be found between husband and wife. In short, Dongfang Bingling's body and even her physiology were no longer a secret to Yang Dingtian. "I woke up yesterday, but I didn't know how to face it. Therefore, I left without saying goodbye at night. Your blood, not only did it restore my life, it even allowed my profound veins and aura C to have a qualitative leap. This is something I did not expect beforehand." Yang Dingtian also did not expect that his blood of 9 sons did not have much of an effect in Dongfang Bingling's body. This time, when she used the profound flame to burn her aura C, not only did the blood of 9 sons save her life, it had even completely fused into her body. However, she had Yin-type profound veins. After the blood of 9 sons fused into her, it actually allowed her aura C and profound veins to advance once again. This made Yang Dingtian very surprised. "After this farewell, I don't know when we can meet again. Bingling's heart is in a mess. I only wish Lord Shen a safe journey." Finally, it was the signature. In the beginning, it was written as Dongfang Bingling. Later on, the 2 words Dongfang were crossed out, leaving only the 2 words Bingling. If it was signed as Dongfang Bingling, it would seem very formal. If it was only the 2 words Bingling, it would seem a little more intimate. Her heart was indeed in a mess, to the extent that her handwriting was a little messy. Furthermore, when she and Qin Huayu perished together, Yang Dingtian had already called her "I am Yang Dingtian." Could it be that she had already lost her consciousness? Here, she called Yang Dingtian as Lord Shen. However, the usually arrogant Dongfang Bingling was actually unable to face him, and chose to leave without saying goodbye. This was really unlike her original personality. Looking at the messy yet beautiful handwriting on the white paper, Yang Dingtian's heart could not help but be in a mess, as if he had lost something. Leaving without saying goodbye is also good. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to face it either. In the end, Yang Dingtian secretly said in his heart. Then, he folded the letter, and planned to place it into his spatial ring. Suddenly, he did not know if it was an illusion, or if it was real, but he seemed to have faintly seen a beautiful and ingenious lip print on the letter. It was very light, and was almost impossible to see. After taking a closer look, it did not seem to be the case. Dongfang Bingling would leave a lip print on a piece of paper? This did not seem like something she would do at all. However, this did indeed look like a lip print, and it was in the shape of Dongfang Bingling's small mouth. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's heart was in a mess. After bidding farewell to the Foxman race warrior leader on the ship, Yang Dingtian took a small boat to the beach, and then once again stepped onto the land of the northwest continent. After more than half a year, he had once again stepped onto the northwest continent. If he had not come to the Dongli grassland, Yang Dingtian would not have known that the half-human race called all the land inhabited by humans the Middle Earth. In order to avoid the Northwest Qin clan's sphere of influence, the Foxman race's smuggling fleet had chosen to dock at the south of the northwest continent, which was about 2,000 miles away from Qin City. Furthermore, it was much closer to the Netherworld Sea from here. Even though he knew that Dongfang Bingling was definitely far away, Yang Dingtian could not help but use the ethereal mystic wings to search in the air. Of course, he could not find any trace of Dongfang Bingling. Sigh. It's good that we separated like this. Otherwise, not only would Dongfang Bingling not know how to face me, but I would also face her. I don't even know how to face her. Yang Dingtian sighed in his heart again. Actually, both of them did not know how to face her. Because they were in the Dongli grassland previously, almost no one there knew Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling. And here, they were in the human country. Dongfang Bingling's every move would have a great impact. After stepping onto the land, Yang Dingtian identified the north, south, east, and west directions. Master, I should go to the abandoned mine to kill the Abyss Lord and dig out the remaining 10,000-year-old bloody black gold to forge a real soul sword. I should go to the Netherworld Sea to pick up Yen Yen first, Yang Dingtian said. There is only about a month before the Cloud Heaven City Lord Martial competition. Let's go to the Netherworld Sea first. Dongfang Minmi said. Okay, let's go to the Netherworld Sea to pick up Yen Yen first. Thus, Yang Dingtian rushed to a town first, bought the most expensive mount, and rushed to the southernmost side. A day and a half later, Yang Dingtian arrived at the southernmost side of the northwest continent. Then, he booked the fastest ship and headed to the southwest continent. Between the northwest continent and the southwest continent was more than 3,000 miles of sea. The ship Yang Dingtian booked was not big, but it was very fast. In just a day and a night, he had already arrived at the southwest continent. Then, Yang Dingtian bought the most expensive mount again and rushed to the end of the southwest continent. He rushed day and night, without sleep or rest, and traveled day and night. Of course, Yang Dingtian wasn't just making haste during this journey. He was also cultivating on the back of his mount. For 24 hours a day, he was absorbing qi. In addition to the few days on the sea, Yang Dingtian's qi cultivation had broken through by half a level in this half a month. At this time, he was already a middle 6-star martial ancestor. That meant that according to his cultivation speed, he could break through to 7-star martial ancestor in a month. This kind of cultivation speed was completely shocking. However, there was less than a month before the City Lord Martial competition. Even if Yang Dingtian broke through to 7-star martial ancestor, it would be quite difficult for him to defeat Shiminju. One had to know that Shiminju had already broken through to martial honorable more than a year ago. Furthermore, he definitely had not made no progress in the past year. 5 days later, Yang Dingtian rushed for a few thousand miles and finally appeared at the end of the southwest continent. Not far ahead was the vast sea. On the other side of the sea was the Netherworld Sea, where Yen Yen was. At this time, there were still 22 days before the City Lord Martial competition. Her entire body turned into a black shadow and swept towards Yang Dingtian like a bolt of lightning. Instantly, it was as if countless sharp blades and scimitars had surrounded his body. Compared to a year ago, Mu Lianyi had indeed improved. According to Yang Dingtian's estimation, Mu Lianyi was now a 9-star Xian martial warrior. Compared to a year ago, she had broken through 3 levels. This speed was already very fast. Of course, this was only for ordinary people. For someone like Yang Dingtian, who defied the natural order, he could not be explained with normal logic. In the same year, Mu Lianyi had broken through 3 levels, from a 6-star Xian martial warrior to a 9-star Xian martial warrior. How much had Yang Dingtian broken through? From a 3-star Xian martial warrior to a 6-star martial grandmaster. The difference between a Xian martial warrior and a martial grandmaster was like heaven and earth. Xian martial warrior, Xian martial master, great Xian martial master, martial Xian, and martial grandmaster. In the past year, Yang Dingtian had broken through 4 levels and 3 levels. This kind of breakthrough was completely unprecedented and would never be replicated in the future. A year ago, Yang Dingtian's cultivation was even weaker than Mu Lianyi's. Now, the sea snake transformation that Mu Lianyi, a 9-star Xian martial warrior, used was like a child's trick in Yang Dingtian's eyes. Therefore, he just stood there and watched her charge with a smile. Then, he used his fingers to catch her scimitar again. Instantly, Mu Lianyi's delicate body froze. The scimitar in her hand was caught in Yang Dingtian's hand. It was as if it was caught between 2 mountains and could not move at all. Mu Lianyi tried to pull out the scimitar, but even after using all her strength, she could not move it at all. "Old thief, I'll fight you to the death," Mu Lianyi said sternly. Then, she opened her 5 fingers and 5 streaks of blue liquid shot out from her fingernails towards Yang Dingtian's face. This was the sea snake's venom that Mu Lianyi hid in her fingernails. It was her last life-saving move. When Yang Dingtian saw the 5 streaks of venom, he smiled and spat out gently. Suddenly, a gorgeous flame floated out. When the 5 streaks of venom came into contact with the flame that Yang Dingtian spat out, they were immediately turned into ashes and disappeared. Mu Lianyi's expression changed drastically. The strength of this old thief priest was far beyond her imagination. In front of him, she was really like an ant. Instantly, Mu Lianyi's heart was filled with despair. She wanted to use a mutual destruction move. Even though she still couldn't do anything to this old thief, it was still good enough to blast off his face. Right at this moment, Mu Liansheng's anxious and respectful voice echoed. "Which senior has graced the Mu clan docks with your presence? Forgive me for not going out to welcome you." Please forgive me, Yang Dingtian could fool around with Mu Lianyi, but Mu Liansheng was still a senior. Therefore, he didn't dare to fool around. He immediately let go of Mu Lianyi's scimitar and bowed in front of Mu Liansheng. "Uncle Mu, nephew Yang Dingtian pays his respects." At this moment, Yang Dingtian was using his real voice. Instantly, Mu Liansheng and Mu Lianyi were stunned. They couldn't react in time and stared blankly at Yang Dingtian. You said you are the young lord. How did you become so ugly?" Mu Lianyi trembled. Yang Dingtian immediately tore off his disguise and mask, revealing his original face. Speaking of which, Yang Dingtian's real face hadn't been revealed for a very long time. Seeing Yang Dingtian's face, Mu Lianyi's eyes turned red. She immediately pounced on him and hugged him tightly while crying loudly. Yang Dingtian was hugged by the voluptuous Mu Lianyi and felt a little awkward. He then smiled at Mu Liansheng. At this moment, Mu Liansheng's eyes were also filled with tears, but he was looking around vigilantly. "Young lord, let's go in." "Let's go in." After entering the house, Mu Liansheng immediately knelt down with Mu Lianyi. Old slave Mu Liansheng pays his respects to young lord. Servant Mu Lianyi pays her respects to young lord. The original Mu Lianyi would never bow to Yang Dingtian, but the current Mu Lianyi's face was flushed red with excitement as she followed her father and knelt down. Yang Dingtian didn't stop her. He knew that Mu Lianyi was a person who valued etiquette the most. Furthermore, his heart was filled with reverence and guilt for Shimen Wuya. If he didn't bow, he wouldn't be able to sleep for a few days. After bowing, Yang Dingtian went forward to help Mu Liansheng up. He then knelt down in front of him and said, "Nephew Yang Dingtian pays his respects to Uncle Mu." Yang Dingtian didn't stop Mu Liansheng from kneeling down. He also knelt down in front of Mu Liansheng as a nephew. Otherwise, if an elder like Mu Liansheng were to kneel down in front of him, Yang Dingtian wouldn't be able to sleep. No, you must not." Mu Liansheng quickly helped Yang Dingtian up and said, "Old slave is not worthy." After asking about Mu Liansheng's health and the safety of the Mu clan docks, Mu Lianyi couldn't wait and said, "Young lord, It has only been a little over a year. How did you become so powerful? What is your cultivation level now? Perhaps even my father isn't a match for you. Roughly a 6-star martial ancestor realm. Yang Dingtian replied. Just as he finished speaking, Mu Liancheng and Mu Lianyi were dumbfounded again. In a little over a year, he had risen from a 3-star mystic martial warrior to a 6-star martial ancestor realm. This was simply too shocking. Perhaps it wasn't shocking, but a complete myth. Oh my God! Young lord, are you still human? Mu Lianyi instinctively said. She then looked at Yang Dingtian with eyes filled with astonishment. Her gaze was as though Yang Dingtian wasn't human. Immediately after, Mu Lianyi realized that what she said wasn't right. She immediately slapped her mouth and stuck out her tongue as she smiled embarrassedly. After a moment, Mu Liancheng finally reacted and said, "Young lord is truly sent by the heavens to revitalize our cloud heaven city. Such shocking talent is truly unprecedented and will never be replicated. Even City Lord Shiman back then was far inferior. Speaking of which, Master's vision is simply too shocking. Previously, no one thought highly of young lord. Only Master had a discerning eye and immediately married young lady to young lord, making young lord the successor of the city lord. Young lord's cultivation is actually so shocking. In this martial contest for the city lord's position, young lord will definitely shock everyone and amaze the world." Yang Dingtian said, "If I stop here, then the martial contest will still be rather difficult. Shiman Ju is at least a martial supreme expert. With my current cultivation level, it will still be difficult to defeat him. I believe that young lord will be able to do it." Mu Lianyi said, "You have already completed the previous difficult steps. I don't believe that you can't complete the last few steps. I will do my best to take back everything that belongs to Martial Uncle Shiman." Yang Dingtian said, "Uncle Mu, for the past year, has the southwest continent been peaceful? Did the Raging Flames Castle come looking for trouble?" Mu Liancheng said, "The Raging Flames Castle has expanded tremendously. Their territory is almost 2 to 3 times more than before. But for some reason, the Mu clan docks hasn't appeared. I am not worried about the Raging Flames Castle. Of course, I feel uneasy about the Sky Phoenix Pavilion. It is completely different from the Sky Phoenix Pavilion that shunned the world previously. For the past year, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion has become very domineering. They will prosper if they obey and perish if they oppose. In the entire southwest continent, no one dares to defy them." Sky Phoenix Pavilion. This was a sect that was formed entirely by females in the Tiando League. It was one of the 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 factions. It was obviously not on the same level as the Raging Flames Castle. The Raging Flames Castle wasn't even qualified to clean his shoes. Ever since Ning Ro-er's master went missing, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion had a new pavilion master. Naturally, their style of doing things changed drastically. Furthermore, Yang Dingtian knew that the current Sky Phoenix Pavilion was almost under the control of the Northwest Qin City. Therefore, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion's expansion was the Northwest Qin City's method of ruling over the entire southwest continent. "Did that affect our Mu clan docks?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Not really." Mu Liancheng said, "The Mu clan docks is too small. The Sky Phoenix Pavilion wouldn't find trouble with us." However, Wooden Sword Castle's Castle Lord Li Guinong has met with a huge problem. The Sky Phoenix Pavilion has been targeting him repeatedly. Therefore, Castle Lord Li has been suffering from setbacks for the past half a year. Yang Dingtian's brows instantly knitted. Li Guinong had done him a great favor and was also his respected elder. If Li Guinong was in trouble, Yang Dingtian would naturally lend a helping hand. But from the current situation, time was simply too tight. Right now, is Castle Lord Li's situation very dangerous? Yang Dingtian asked. That isn't the case. Mu Liancheng said, both parties have yet to shed all pretense of cordiality. The Wooden Sword Castle is only suffering from censure and has suffered a huge loss in power. Yang Dingtian said, If that is the case, then I can only wait until I am officially appointed as the Cloud Heaven City Lord before lending a helping hand. Mu Lianqing nodded and said, "That's right. Right now, the City Lord's position is the most important matter." Following which, Mu Lianqing asked, "What is young Lord's purpose in coming to the southwest continent? Is there anything you need the old slave to do?" Yang Dingtian said, "I am here this time to fetch Yen Yen back to Cloud Heaven City from the Sea of Hades. As I miss all of you, I will stay here for a night. Tomorrow morning, I will set off for the Sea of Hades. Alright, I will immediately prepare the best boat, food, and water. Tomorrow morning, I will get Liani to send you out to sea." Mu Lianqing said. "Thank you for the trouble." Yang Dingtian said. That night, Mu Lianqing and Mu Liani accompanied Yang Dingtian for dinner. Even though they had a stomach full of things to say, they didn't disturb him. Yang Dingtian practiced the mystic qi breathing technique until around 2 in the morning and slept for 4 hours. Then, with Mu Liani accompanying him, they set off for the Sea of Hades. The mirror-like netherworld sea surged. However, there was still no response. Yang Dingtian did not believe that the netherworld sea would not be moved by him taking out such a precious treasure. However, no one had appeared yet. He was afraid that they had other intentions. The people from the netherworld sea had never been good people. Otherwise, there would not be a debt to the netherworld sea that could not be repaid in 10 lifetimes. Next, Yang Dingtian shouted 3 more times, but no one responded. Yang Dingtian frowned and said, "If you don't show yourself, then I will enter the netherworld sea myself." Suddenly, a cold wind blew past, as if it brought along a burst of disdainful ridicule. It was as if it was mocking Yang Dingtian. If there were no people from the netherworld sea leading the way, no one in this world could enter the netherworld sea, and no one knew where the netherworld sea was. Yang Dingtian actually said that he wanted to come in himself. It was ridiculous. Yang Dingtian naturally did not know where the netherworld sea was. However, ever since he went to the celestial Red Sea and 5 Elements Hall's secret realm, Yang Dingtian had a deeper understanding of the netherworld sea. "Then I will offend you. I will barge into the netherworld sea myself," Yang Dingtian said loudly. He pretended to stuff the jade box containing the Naga race's Xian veins into his clothes, but in reality, he stuffed it into his spatial ring. Then, Yang Dingtian unfolded the empty spirit profound wings and flew into the air. He circled above the sea surface, looking for the entrance to the netherworld sea. This jade-like sea surface did not have any abnormalities at all. Looking from the sea surface, it was impossible to tell where the entrance to the netherworld sea was. Yang Dingtian only knew that the netherworld sea was at the bottom of the sea. Moreover, it was a completely different world. There was even a sky and an island there. It was as if it was another small world. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian descended from the sky and dived into the sea. The water here was very calm. There were almost no waves or flow. It was completely clear to the extreme. It really did not seem like the water of the sea. Moreover, there were no living creatures in this sea. No matter if it was fishes or prawns, there was not even any aquatic plants or corals. Yang Dingtian kept diving, and very quickly, he reached the bottom of the sea. It was not different from the ordinary bottom of the sea. The bottom of the sea here was completely flat and smooth. Moreover, every inch and corner was exactly the same. There was no difference at all. There was not a single place that looked like the entrance to the netherworld sea. Yang Dingtian pulled out his youngling sword and stabbed down at the smooth bottom of the sea. Yang Dingtian's youngling sword could be considered as the world's sharpest and hardest treasure sword. It was almost indestructible. However, this stab with all his strength was unable to pierce through the bottom of the sea. It was not because the bottom of the sea was very hard. Rather, it was because when he stabbed it, it was immediately rebounded. As a result, Yang Dingtian used all the profound qi in his body to hack down. The bottom of the sea was still undamaged. No matter how much power Yang Dingtian hacked down, it was all rebounded back. Yang Dingtian's chest immediately turned over and over. He almost vomited blood. The bottom of the sea was not some kind of hard substance, but some kind of energy substance. No matter how much power was hacked down, it would all be rebounded. Therefore, no matter how sharp the sword was, it was useless. If the sword was useless, then what about the profound flame? After Yang Dingtian slightly hesitated, he closed his eyes and clasped his hands together. Suddenly, a sharp profound flame blade emerged. Go! Yang Dingtian suddenly used his profound qi. Suddenly, the profound flame turned into a flaming blade and stabbed towards the bottom of the sea. The profound flame was indestructible. It directly used energy to break energy. Boom! When the profound flaming blade was hacked down, Yang Dingtian felt a sudden tremor under his feet. The sea water surged. However, that was all. The bottom of the sea was still undamaged. The energy of Yang Dingtian's flaming blade was completely like mud sinking into the sea. Yang Dingtian no longer acted rashly. Instead, he closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the bottom of the sea. He recalled every scene in the Netherworld Sea that day. He clearly remembered that when he was in the Netherworld Sea, there was a sky and a sun above his head. It felt exactly the same as on the ground. However, the Netherworld Sea was indeed at the bottom of the sea. And the bottom of the sea was completely filled with energy substances. That meant that the Netherworld Sea was under the sea. The sea water was absolutely transparent. Therefore, when he was in the Netherworld Sea, the sun and sky he saw were separated by a layer of absolutely transparent seawater. Of course, if it was on Earth, light would not be able to pass through such deep sea water without any damage. However, this seawater was completely different. If the Netherworld Sea was only separated by a layer of seawater, this layer of the sea floor was only filled with energy substances and did not have a physical body. And the seawater would not flow down. That meant that there was a different gravitational field under the sea, just like the Five Elements Hall's secret realm. That meant that Yang Dingtian and the small world of the Netherworld Sea were only separated by a layer of energy field. However, he was completely unable to pass through this powerful energy field. However, the people of the Netherworld Sea could enter and leave as they pleased. That meant that there was still an entrance. But other than the people of the Netherworld Sea, no one else could find the entrance to this energy field. The sea surface here was at least a few hundred miles in size. If the entrance to the energy field was completely unfixed, then no matter how high an ordinary person's cultivation was, they would not be able to find the entrance. Of course, Yang Dingtian would not be able to find it either. Then, Yang Dingtian's heart lit up. Perhaps he had a way. Closing his eyes, Yang Dingtian summoned the mystic fire in his sea of qi. Suddenly, the mystic fire in his sea of qi flared up. Then, the mystic fire suddenly split into countless resentful spirits. Yang Dingtian's million-spirit demonic fire contained hundreds of millions of resentful spirits. Each resentful spirit had an independent soul. Hundreds of millions of resentful spirits could cover hundreds of miles of the sea floor and there would be more than enough of them. Go! Yang Dingtian ordered. Instantly, countless resentful spirits separated from the mystic fire and rushed to every inch of the sea floor. An army of hundreds of millions of resentful spirits was enough to fill every inch of the sea floor. Then, Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and sensed the countless resentful spirits. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's mind was filled with the fluorescence of resentful spirits. They were densely packed and were even denser than the stars in the sky. The sea floor here was extremely calm. Hence, the resentful spirits behind the wall cloth were also floating there peacefully. However, there would definitely be energy surging at the entrance to the Netherworld Sea. And these resentful spirits were the most sensitive and the slightest energy bodies. Just like countless dust particles floating in the air, as long as there was a slight breeze, the dust particles would dance and undulate. Indeed, Yang Dingtian found it. 120 miles away from the northeast corner, the resentful spirits were surging up and down uneasily. That's right, that was the entrance. Hence, the energy field was not calm and caused the resentful spirits to surge. Instantly, Yang Dingtian hurriedly chased after it. Indeed, this energy entrance was constantly moving. Furthermore, it seemed to be moving without any pattern. It was completely random. No wonder other than the people of the Netherworld Sea, no one else could find the entrance. This kind of erratic entrance was less than 2 feet in diameter. In an area of hundreds of miles, even immortals could not find it. If Yang Dingtian did not have hundreds of millions of resentful spirits, even if he became a great grandmaster, he would not be able to find this entrance. Yang Dingtian swam quickly and chased after this entrance. Soon, he caught up to the entrance where the energy was unstable and rushed in. Whoosh! Instantly, as if he had entered a whirlpool, Yang Dingtian was directly sucked in. After being sucked in, Yang Dingtian passed through a layer of empty energy field and fell down. The scenery below was very familiar. It was a beach, a golden beach. That's right, below was the Netherworld Sea. The Netherworld Sea and the seawater above were separated by a layer of anti-gravity energy field. In this world, no one could find and enter the Netherworld Sea. However, Yang Dingtian did it. At this time, Song Yu was looking at Yang Dingtian, who had barged into the Netherworld Sea with a face full of shock. Chapter 299. Your Excellency Yang Dingtian, you are the only one who has been able to enter my Sea of Hades in the past few hundred years. Song Yu slowly said, however, do you know the consequences of this? Yang Dingtian, in order to save me, the Sea of Hades had once used up a 5-inch red Naga profound vein crystal. Yang Dingtian is extremely grateful. One day, I coincidentally obtained a foot of Naga's purple profound vein crystal, so I came here to repay the debt. Song Yu indifferently said, no need. First of all, we previously owed Shimin Wuya a favor. Secondly, you have already paid the reward for saving you, and that is Shimin Yanyan. Therefore, you don't owe us anything. Immediately, Yang Dingtian's eyes fiercely shrank, then directly said, then I will use this foot-long purple Naga's profound vein crystal to exchange for Shimin Yanyan's freedom, is that okay? This transaction should be very profitable for you. Sorry, I can't. Song Yu indifferently said. This matter is very big, can Brother Song Yu make the decision? Do you need to report to your teacher? Yang Dingtian said. No need, this is my teacher's opinion. Song Yu said. No room for discussion. Yang Dingtian said. No room for discussion. Song Yu said, in fact, in this world, there is no one who can discuss conditions with us. Yang Dingtian, from my point of view, Yan Yan is my wife, so of course she is a priceless treasure. But from your point of view, she is merely an extremely beautiful girl. Therefore, using this Naga's profound vein crystal to exchange for her freedom should be very profitable. This foot-long purple Naga's profound vein crystal can at least save 4 or 5 seriously injured people like me. If it is used to raise the grade of a martial artist's profound vein, I think it should be enough to raise 10 7th grade profound vein martial artists to 8th grade profound vein crystal. I bought an 8th grade profound skill manual at the auction house, and just the gold coins alone cost more than 300 million. However, this foot of purple Naga Xian vein could be exchanged for more than 10 8th rank Xian skill manuals. Therefore, this deal should be very profitable for you. That's your opinion. Song Yu indifferently said, what you want to trade is not only Shimin Yanyan's freedom, but also the rules of the Netherworld Sea, and these rules are priceless. Therefore, there is no room for negotiation. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, then, what will it take for you to release my wife, Shimin Yanyan? Song Yu shrugged his shoulders and said, there are 2 situations. The first is that you, Yang Dingtian, become the absolute number 1 under the heavens, and can annihilate my Netherworld Sea in one go. At that time, of course, we will take the initiative to release Shimin Yanyan. In the second case, after my martial uncle Wuyen's soul sword has been completely purified and he has cultivated a sword soul, we will return her freedom. Yang Dingtian's complexion immediately turned cold. These two conditions were impossible to achieve within 10 years. After thinking for a while, Yang Dingtian said again, "Then does your netherworld sea have anyone you want to save but can't save? For example, a very, very important person, for some reason, is about to leave this world, but you can't save him. I think I can save this person, and then I will use this important person's life to exchange for Shimin Yanyan's freedom." Song Yu indifferently shook his head and said, "I'm very sorry, there is no such person for you to save." Yang Dingtian's heart really surged with a ball of fire. This netherworld sea was completely impervious to oil and salt. Then, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down and said, "If I want to take Shimin Yanyan away now. What conditions do you have? Any conditions, no matter how ridiculous, say it out for me to hear." Song Yu's lips curled into a cold smile and said, "I'm sorry, we don't have any conditions. Especially, we won't put any conditions on a person who has almost nothing." Yang Dingtian really didn't understand, when did the netherworld sea become so noble, not even wanting a treasure that was delivered to their doorstep. Moreover, it was the purple Naga race's Xian vein, this kind of treasure of heaven and earth, they didn't want it. This was really not in line with the netherworld sea style. Suddenly, Song Yu said, "Yang Dingtian, are you done talking?" Yang Dingtian frowned and said, "I'm done for the time being. What, do you have something to say? Since you're done talking about your matter, then let's talk about our matter now." Song Yu indifferently said, "You are the only outsider who has successfully entered the netherworld sea in hundreds of years." Of course, this sounded like praise. But if it was put another way, it could also be said that you are the only person who has broken into the netherworld sea in hundreds of years. Our netherworld sea is not your family's back mountain, anyone can casually break in. You broke in, very amazing, but the consequences are also very, very serious. Want to hear what the consequences are? Yang Dingtian, I'm all ears. Song Yu said, "Since you broke in, then don't think about going out. Directly cripple your martial arts, cut off your tongue, and stay in the netherworld sea as the lowest servant." As soon as these words came out, Yang Dingtian's eyes shrank and said, "And then?" "Song Yu, don't make me look down on you. Your netherworld sea may not be invincible, but at least no one in the world dares to provoke you. Don't be secretive, I believe you have no interest in taking me as a servant. What do you want?" Song Yu slightly smiled and said, "Good, I'll be straightforward. You broke into the netherworld sea, the consequences are very serious. Do you want to leave here alive? Or, do you want to leave here in one piece?" "Of course." Yang Dingtian. "Good, then hand over the foot of purple Naga Xian vein, and we will forgive your sins and let you leave." Song Yu indifferently said, "Of course, you will leave by yourself. This Naga Xian vein is only used to redeem your sins of breaking into the netherworld sea, there is no other use." After hearing Song Yu's words, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but laugh. He only guessed half of the netherworld sea right. Earlier, he was still surprised. When did the sea of the netherworld become so indifferent? Why wasn't it greedy and shameless? The half of Yang Dingtian's guess was right, the netherworld sea was still greedy and shameless. And the half of Yang Dingtian's guess was wrong, he didn't think that the netherworld sea was more greedy and shameless than he thought. They didn't want to release Yan Yan and wanted to swallow Yang Dingtian's Naga race Xian veins. Furthermore, they wanted to establish a memorial arch for Yang Dingtian. They didn't want to snatch it away but wanted to frame Yang Dingtian with a crime. This shameless charm really reminded him of some countries in the Earth era. After taking away your things, they made you pay a huge price to buy it back. Must it be like this? Yang Dingtian indifferently said. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yu said. Yang Dingtian, if I don't agree to this deal. Song Yu said, then we will use force to punish you. If we fail, we may take your life. Then everything on you will be handed over to the abstinence hall, waiting for the owner to come and claim it. Of course, after a period of time, if no one comes to claim it, we may borrow it. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was even more amazed. To be able to be shameless to your level, I really admire you. No matter if it's Qin Wanchou or Dugu Shao, they are far from being comparable to you. Song Yu shrugged again and said, so, if I were you, I wouldn't recklessly barge in. You know the consequences are very serious, but you still barge in. Isn't your brain stupid? But the one trapped here is my wife. I would rather be a fool than a bitch. Yang Dingtian said. Then are you sure you don't want to trade? Song Yu said, you don't want the Naga race's purple mystic veins to redeem your sins? Of course not. Yang Dingtian said. Many thanks, this is also what we want. Song Yu said, then slowly drew out his sharp sword and said, then don't blame us for being impolite. After all, you are the one who broke the rules of my netherworld sea. Are you going to kill me and snatch my treasures? Yang Dingtian said. No, just a punishment. Song Yu said, of course, if I fail, then I will be very sorry. What is your approximate cultivation? Is it comparable to Dongfang Bingling? Yang Dingtian asked. Song Yu shook his head and said, probably not. Is it comparable to Dugu Fengwu? Yang Dingtian asked again. Probably more than her. Song Yu said. Stronger than Dugu Fengwu, that meant he was at least a 6th grade martial revered. Yang Dingtian said, then there is no need to fight. I am not willing to throw away my life for this matter. Alright, then hand over that 1 foot of purple Naga mystic vein. Song Yu said. No, I am not handing it over either. Yang Dingtian said. Song Yu's expression turned cold and said, are you making fun of me? If you're making fun of me, then I won't kill you by accident. Instead, I'll cripple all of your martial arts, cut off your tongue, and make you the lowliest servant in the netherworld sea. Yang Dingtian said, furthermore, I am going to use this piece of Naga mystic vein to exchange for Shimin Yanyan's freedom. Song Yu's incomparably handsome face was now ice cold as he said coldly, I am now certain that you are making fun of me. I am certain that you are courting death. Then, go and die. In an instant, Song Yu's sharp sword shook violently. In an instant, an incomparably powerful energy burst out. Yang Dingtian felt as though there was an earthquake beneath his feet as the ground shook violently. This Song Yu was indeed much stronger than Dugu Fengwu. It wasn't probably, but definitely. Afterward, Song Yu's sword blade suddenly flashed with a blue radiance as he was about to stab at Yang Dingtian ferociously. Stop! Yang Dingtian yelled out and said coldly, Song Yu, you better report this matter to the Netherworld Sea's sect master before making a decision. You aren't able to bear this responsibility. It is easy for you to kill me, but your Netherworld Sea can't afford to offend the person behind me. Ha ha ha. Song Yu instantly laughed heartily and said, there is probably no one in this world that my Netherworld Sea can't afford to offend. Who is the person behind you? Shimin Wuya, Dongfang Nimi. Even if they are alive, my Netherworld Sea isn't afraid, let alone when they are already dead. Don't mention the hidden sect, we all know very clearly that the so-called hidden sect's successor, Wu Ming, is a fake. Finishing his statement, Song Yu still felt that it was ridiculous and funny as he held onto his stomach and laughed loudly. He looked at Yang Dingtian with eyes of pity and disdain as though he was looking at a clown. As he laughed, Song Yu's gaze gradually turned cold as his killing intent gradually condensed. When the laughter stopped, it would be the time for Song Yu to make his move to kill. I will only tell you a name. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, the person who gave me this Naga clan's Xian vein in exchange for Yanyan's freedom is called Tantai. Many people call her saint, but her true identity is the primal chaos continent's border guardian. Yang Dingtian paused for a moment as he observed Song Yu and continued, of course, if your level is too low and you don't have the qualifications, perhaps you won't understand the meaning behind my words. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, your master will definitely understand. So, please report to your master that Tantai gave me this Naga clan's Xian vein and asked me to come to the Netherworld Sea to ask for her. If I were you, I would definitely report to my master, otherwise it would be a disaster for the Netherworld Sea, and you probably wouldn't be able to bear it. Song Yu's laughter gradually froze, and his eyes gradually revealed shock, confusion, and doubt. Finally, he slowly straightened his body and stared at Yang Dingtian. He slowly sheathed his sword and bowed, then, "Please wait for a moment, Sire Yang Dingtian, I will go and report to my master." Finished speaking, Song Yu soared into the sky and landed on the ship. He steered the ship and sailed towards the distant illusory island. At this moment, Song Yu was modest and polite, as if he was a completely different person from before. And at this moment, Yang Dingtian's heart was also filled with shock. He knew that this trip to the Netherworld Sea to save Yen Yen would be very difficult, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult, and that the Netherworld Sea would be so greedy and shameless. Saint Tantai's name, he had already thought that he would use it to scare people when he was completely at his wits' end. As for whether or not he could scare the Netherworld Sea, he didn't have much confidence. But he didn't expect that Tantai's name would directly cause an earthquake in Song Yu's heart. The shock in his eyes left a deep impression. It seemed that Saint Tantai's name had shocked the Netherworld Sea tens of thousands of miles away. Chapter 300. Yang Dingtian sat cross-legged on the golden beach and waited for Song Yu and his master to arrive. The Netherworld Sea was huge, and one couldn't even see the end of it. It was at least a few hundred miles in size. The buildings of the Netherworld Sea were hidden on the various islands in the sea. In Yang Dingtian's vision, there were over a dozen islands of various sizes. However, every island was hidden behind the fog and looked very mysterious. Yang Dingtian looked up at the sky again and indeed found something unnatural. There were still two suns and white clouds. It was just like the real sky, but if one took a closer look, they would notice that the sky would occasionally distort slightly as though it was struck by electric current. The so-called Netherworld Sea was the sea under the sea, and there was an energy field that couldn't be passed through. Even though it was still mysterious and fantastical, it didn't feel as mysterious and bizarre as hell or paradise. Yang Dingtian didn't have to wait for long before Song Yu returned. He was standing on a small boat, which was rapidly drifting towards Yang Dingtian. He was the only one there. He didn't see the rower, and he didn't see his master either. Soon enough, Song Yu's small boat reached the shore, and he jumped onto the golden beach. Yang Dingtian stood up and asked, "What is your master going to say?" Song Yu replied, "My master will talk to you personally." Yang Dingtian was startled as there wasn't a third person in the surroundings. How was he going to talk to his master? Was there a phone in this world? Right at this moment, there was a sudden surge of seawater on the surface of the sea, which gradually condensed into a human figure. It was a woman with an incomparably graceful figure, wearing a long blue dress. The curves of her body were like the undulating mountains and rivers. That kind of magic-like seduction was beyond Dugu Fengwu and Qin Mengli. It was rather similar to Tantai. Of course, this wasn't a real person, but a human figure condensed by the seawater. Her figure was extremely seductive, and her face was extremely gorgeous and enchanting. However, Yang Dingtian still felt that this face was a little strange. It was extremely gorgeous, extremely enchanting, and almost as beautiful as Dongfang Bingling, but it gave people a strange feeling. As for what kind of feeling it was, Yang Dingtian couldn't say for a while. "My name is Wu Yu, the master of the Sea of Hades," the man said. As soon as he spoke, Yang Dingtian finally knew where this strange feeling came from. When he was on Earth, he had seen many transvestites in movies and on the internet. Some transvestites were even more beautiful and enchanting than women, but they always gave off a feeling of being obedient. And when he saw Wu Yu, Yang Dingtian felt the same way. As soon as this person spoke, this feeling became even clearer. In general, this Wu Yu's voice didn't sound like a woman's, and of course, it didn't sound like a man's either. It was very tempting, but it was also very strange, making people want to stay away from it. Yang Dingtian greets Sovereign Wu Jin. Yang Dingtian bowed. Although this person was very frightening, he was still the master of a sect, so Yang Dingtian had to treat him with respect. You said that this section of the Naga clan's Xian veins was personally given to you by Tantai? Wu Yu asked. Yes, Sovereign Wu Jin. Yang Dingtian said. What proof do you have? Wu Yu said, maybe you went to the Dongli grasslands and happened to hear about Saint Tantai, so you used her name to deceive me? Yang Dingtian, even if I heard of Saint Tantai, what about the border protector? What about this world gate? What about the founder of the world-ending battle? Stop! Wu Yu shouted, his voice trembling slightly, don't say any more, if one more person hears these names, one more person will die. Not everyone can be like you, even your master Dongfang Minmi, who happened to hear these names and went to explore, but in the end was imprisoned under the 1,000-mile glacier. When these words came out, Yang Dingtian was completely shocked. Dongfang Minmi was imprisoned under the 1,000-mile glacier. In this world, besides him, almost no one else knew, but this Wu Yu in front of him actually knew. No doubt it knew a great deal about the top secrets of this world. Alright, I believe you. Wu Yu said, this purple Naga Xian veins was given to you by Tantai. Yang Dingtian, then can I use it to exchange for Yanyan's freedom? You're wrong, you can't use it to exchange for Shimin Yanyan's freedom, but to exchange for the rules of the Netherworld Sea. Wu Yu said, all rules are set up to be broken. But if you want to break these rules, you need a very, very large external force. At least I feel that within the primal chaos continent, there is no such power. Yang Dingtian ignored Wu Yu's vague words and asked directly, does Sect Master agree to use the Naga Xian veins to exchange for Shimin Yanyan's freedom? I don't agree. Wu Yu said, the pride of the Netherworld Sea cannot be tarnished. Yang Dingtian, even if it's in the name of Saint Tantai and the border protector, it's still not okay? I didn't say that. Wu Yu said, I don't agree to the exchange, but I'm willing to release Shimin Yanyan and let her regain her freedom. Yang Dingtian was stunned, and he didn't dare to believe it. The power of the 4 words Saint Tantai was so shocking, not only did it make it easier for the Netherworld Sea to release Yanyan, but it also made it easier for them to give up the Naga Xian veins. Are you sure? Yang Dingtian. I'm sure. Wu Yu said, the Netherworld Sea is willing to unconditionally return Shimin Yanyan's freedom, she can leave at any time. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief, then bowed and said, many thanks, Sect Master. No need to thank me. Wu Yu said, I haven't finished speaking. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart stopped, and he said, Sect Master, please continue. Shimin Yanyan can leave, but you can't. Wu Yu said, because you trespassed into the Netherworld Sea without permission, this is a great sin. Yang Dingtian hurriedly said, I'm willing to accept the punishment, I'm willing to hand over the 1 foot of the Naga Xian veins to redeem my sin. What do you think the Netherworld Sea is? Wu Yu suddenly shouted. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's head became dizzy, his chest turned, and he was in extreme pain. His vision turned black, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, the entire Netherworld Sea shook. The sea in front of him raised huge waves. Wu Yu's figure formed by the sea water instantly grew 100 meters tall, turning into a giant dozens of stories tall. Just the power of his anger was like the mountains and rivers turning upside down, and the rivers flowing in reverse. Yang Dingtian desperately suppressed the pain of the energy rolling, and said respectfully, then Sect Master Wu Yu, what do I need? How can I redeem my sin of trespassing? Peel off the skin and pull out the tendons, grind the bones and scatter the ashes, and refine the mind and soul into a screaming vengeful spirit, and become a ghost fire in the hall, illuminating the light of my book. Wu Yu said indifferently. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart turned cold. If Wu Yu really wanted to do this, then even if Dongfang Minmi came, he wouldn't be able to stop him. However, Wu Yu continued, towards Saint Tantai, I have always held respect in my heart. If you want to leave, it's very simple. You know where the entrance to the Netherworld Sea is, so you naturally know where the exit is. 3 days later, Song Yu will be guarding the Golden Beach. If you can break through him, you can leave. If you can't break through, then destroy your chi si, cut off your tongue, dig out your eyes, and become the most lowly servant in my netherworld sea. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. This Song Yu was a 5 or 6-star revered martial artist. Break through his defenses and leave the netherworld sea. This was not a difficult task, but rather something that was almost impossible. Moreover, he used Tantai's name to suppress the netherworld sea, so Song Yu definitely wouldn't be lenient. Yang Dingtian carried Tantai's name, and Wu Yu chose to compromise and let go of Yan Yan. However, he hated Yang Dingtian to the core, so he made the decision to let go of Yan Yan and not Yang Dingtian. He wanted Yang Dingtian to face the most tragic end in the netherworld sea. Then, Wu Yu's eyes shot out an ice-cold light, and he said indifferently, "If you dare to say a word of no, I will immediately draw out your soul and turn you into a walking corpse." Chapter 301. Granny, I don't want to practice anymore, okay? Yan Yan said coquettishly. No, do you want to be beaten? Wu Yan, who was so ugly that no one could tell that he was a woman, said coldly, then the whip in his hand lashed down. Paw! With a crisp sound, Yan Yan's thigh was suddenly hit, but of course, it was only a slight pain. Yan Yan pouted her small mouth, then continued to hold the treasured sword, practicing this slow and seemingly harmless sword technique. This sword technique was really slow, it didn't look like a sword technique at all, but more like Earth's yoga. Yan Yan's delicate body curves were already exquisite to the point of almost exaggeration, and now that she was practicing this extremely high stretching technique, it made her delicate body appear even more hot and attractive. Wrong again. Wu Yan frowned, and the whip in his hand lashed down again. This time, the strength was slightly stronger, to the extent that Yan Yan let out a small cry of pain. Shimin Yan Yan, what's the matter with you? These few days you practiced wrongly, it's not as good as a few months ago. You won't be able to recover your Xian veins even if you practice like this for 100 years. Wu Yan coldly said. My mind is in a mess these few days, I don't want to practice anymore. Yan Yan said. You dare? Wu Yan said, don't be arrogant, don't think that I really don't want to hit you. Hit me if you want, in short, I don't want to practice anymore. Yan Yan angrily said, then threw the priceless profound ice-cold jade sword on the ground. I'll beat you to death. Wu Yan angrily said, then he fiercely raised the whip, gritted his teeth and lashed down. However, the whip didn't hit Yan Yan's body, but the ground beside her. I already knew that I can't give you a good face, now it's getting harder and harder to control. Wu Yan angrily said, in the past, you would obediently listen to every word I say, but now you want to talk back to me for 10 sentences. In the past, you would wake up every morning to cook for me, but now you want me to wake you up every day and cook for you. Are you going to serve me, or am I going to serve you? At this point, Yan Yan giggled and pulled Elder Wu Yan's arm. Granny, I'm always like this at home. I treat you much better than mother. If I were your mother, I'd be pissed to death, Wu Yan said. You're right. I quarrel with my mother more than 20 times a month. On average, we quarrel once every 2 days, Yan Yan said. Why hasn't that idiot Yang Dingtian been angered to death by you? Wu Yan said. That stingy guy. It's so boring to argue with him. Yan Yan said, she got angry just because I scolded her a little, and she even pretended to be pregnant. In fact, she remembers everything. This kind of good-for-nothing thing is just nice to kick away. In any case, you two haven't slept together, so you can't be considered a real couple. I'll make the decision to let you remarry to Song Yu. Wu Yan said, whether it's appearance, demeanor, background, or cultivation, Song Yu is 10,000 times better than that idiot Yang Dingtian. Zhong Wu Yan, don't say such things to me again, or I'll get angry. Yan Yan said loudly, if you think Song Yu is good, you can marry her. After that, Yan Yan turned around and walked away, entering her room. Elder Wu Yan suddenly trembled with anger and said loudly, Shimin Yan Yan, what did you call me? I'll kill you. Then, Elder Wu Yan directly picked up his walking stick and chased after her. Yan Yan slammed the door and locked Elder Wu Yan outside. Open the door for me. Today I must kill you and teach you a lesson. You don't know your place. Elder Wu Yan slammed the door. I told you last time, if you dare to say such things again, we'll break off our friendship for half a month. Next time, it'll be a month. Yan Yan said, from now on, for half a month, you don't have to talk to me, and I won't wash your clothes or cook for you. Bullshit, this month you've been like a ghost. When did you wash my clothes or cook for me? I washed your clothes and cooked for you. Elder Wu Yan was so angry that he stomped his feet. Yan Yan really didn't say a word inside. Open the door for me, today I must teach you a lesson. I can't let you be so lawless. On this Wu Yan island, I'm the absolute master, open the door for me. This time, I must beat you half to death. I'll let you know that some rules can't be broken. I, Zhong Wu Yan, also have a bottom line. Elder Wu Yan slammed the door and stomped his feet, but Yan Yan still ignored him. After a quarter of an hour, girl, open the door for me, do you hear me? Otherwise, I'm really going to get angry. Alright, this time, it's my fault. I won't say such things again in the future. Ah. I suddenly feel a pain in my chest, I can't breathe, I can't stand anymore. Wu Yan slowly fell to the ground. A few minutes later, there was still no response from inside. Elder Wu Yan suddenly jumped up from the ground and yelled, you heartless little bitch, you ignored me even when I fell down, you're pissing me off. After that, Wu Yan's mouth became dry from all the shouting outside, but Yan Yan still didn't give any response. Elder Wu Yan simply sat down on the ground, and the two of them began to argue. After a while, the door was opened, and Yan Yan walked out with an expressionless face. Elder Wu Yan immediately became nervous, and he looked up with a fawning smile. Yan Yan walked directly to the courtyard, opened the pot of medicine, and stirred it carefully. Then, she poured it out, filtered it, and added some ice-cold crystals. Then, she put it in a jade bowl, and finally came to the stone table, and slammed it hard, making a sound. Then, she went back to the house expressionlessly. Elder Wu Yan quickly picked up the medicine and drank it in one gulp, and his face suddenly twisted with pain. Girl, you should comb your hair too. Look at you, you're still wearing pajamas, and you didn't even comb your hair in the morning, you don't look good. Wu Yan looked at Yan Yan's back with messy hair. Yes, Yan Yan's teeth were as clean as white jade, but she didn't comb her hair, and didn't change her clothes. She looked like a lazy girl with her hair disheveled. Why are you dressed up so beautifully, no one is looking? Yan Yan said coldly. Song Yu. Oh, I'm wrong. There are so many young male disciples in the Netherworld Sea, which one of them didn't lose their soul when they saw you, and they would find an opportunity to come to the island to ask me for advice. Before you came, no one came even once in 3 to 5 years. Even if they saw me, they would quickly avoid me from 5 miles away. Wu Yan said, the young disciples in the Netherworld Sea didn't want to see you, which one of them didn't lose their soul when they saw you? Then let them die. Yan Yan said, be careful, my Lang Jun comes and gouges out their eyes. That trash Yang Ding Tian. Forget about it. Anyone from the Sea of Hades would be able to crush him with just a finger. Girl, I think you're quite smart, but why is your eyesight so bad that you fell for such a trash? He has no looks, no elegance, no grace, petty, and useless. Wu Yan said, you're already 20-something years old, but you're still a Xian martial warrior, so embarrassing. What do you know? Yan Yan said, and even if he's not even a novice martial warrior, I still like him, and I'll follow him for the rest of my life. Why? You've lost your mind. Wu Yan said. Because he's petty, shameless, and knows how to say mushy words. He'll touch me, and he'll tell disgusting jokes. Yan Yan said. Wu Yan was speechless. He said, girl, water must have entered your brain. If Yang Ding Tian was here, he would also be speechless. Yang Dingtian can be considered an indomitable man, but in Yin Yan's heart, his charm was actually these things. Girl, Yang Dingtian won't come. Wu Yan was silent for a moment, then suddenly said seriously, it's been a long time since he promised to pick you up. He'll come. Yin Yan said firmly, he promised me, he'll definitely come. Maybe. Wu Yan said, but what if he's already dead? Nonsense, he won't die. Yin Yan suddenly cried. Wu Yan said, I'm saying what if he's already dead? I said he'll come, he promised to pick me up, so he'll definitely come. Yin Yan said firmly while crying. Girl, what if he really can't come? Wu Yan asked. I'll keep waiting for him, 10 or 20 years, until he comes to pick me up. Yin Yan said. Can you wait 10 or 20 years? Wu Yan said, how much weight have you lost in the past month? Your chin is sharp, how many meals have you eaten in the past month? I think you'll die in less than half a year. Yin Yan didn't say anything. Girl, people have to live for themselves first. Although Yin Yan's voice had sounded in Yang Dingtian's heart countless times, when he heard Yin Yan's unruly, delicate, and caring voice again, Yang Dingtian felt his whole body go numb, and then a sweet, alcohol-like feeling instantly spread all over his body. That kind of sweet and numb feeling. Yin Yan, his lovely little wife, was always spicy and sweet. After more than a year, when he heard this voice again, Yang Dingtian felt that his whole heart was about to melt. Hearing that there was still no response from outside, only the sound of chaotic breathing, Yin Yan suddenly became worried and said, Hey, say something, you really don't want to play, I'm really going to get angry. Yang Dingtian opened his mouth, but found that he couldn't make any sound. At this time, the door opened, and Yin Yan rushed out, full of worry. Suddenly, Yin Yan's beautiful and delicate face appeared directly in front of Yang Dingtian. She was still so beautiful, no, she was even more beautiful than before. The baby fat on her face seemed to have disappeared, and her small face was sharp, delicate, and beautiful to the point that it made one's heart ache. Because her small face had lost weight, her eyes were bigger, more beautiful, and more moving than before. Her clear, unruly, delicate eyes were filled with sadness. They could break anyone's heart in an instant. The moment she saw Yang Dingtian, Yin Yan was instantly stunned. Her small mouth suddenly opened, and her eyes opened as wide as possible, as if all of this was unreal. Then, she fiercely closed her eyes, and fiercely opened them again, fearing that it was just a dream. When she opened her eyes again, Yang Dingtian was still in front of her, and it was still the face that haunted her dreams, but it was even more weathered. Tears instantly gushed out from her beautiful big eyes, and then Yin Yan's body suddenly burst forth with the greatest energy, and she suddenly threw herself into Yang Dingtian's arms, desperately hugging his waist with both arms. Yang Dingtian's whole body was first paralyzed, and then a surge of crazy energy surged up. He suddenly hugged Yin Yan's delicate body in his arms, found Yin Yan's small mouth, and fiercely kissed it. His two big hands desperately hugged Yin Yan, using a lot of strength, as if he wanted to crush her. The two people in the first second they met, and before they could say a word, it was like a ball of fire, burning fiercely. Chapter 302. Elder Wu Yan tore off the cloth in her ears. Finally, the shameless and heart-scratching sound was gone. She immediately turned around and looked into the courtyard. With one look, her whole body was burning with anger again. Bastard, shameless. The whole courtyard used to be neat and tidy, but now it looked like it had been ravaged by 100 wolves. It was a mess. All the wooden tables had fallen, 3 chairs were broken, and the rope of the swing was broken. The dozens of shelves for drying herbs had all fallen, and precious herbs were scattered all over the ground. The dried clothes were all spread on the ground, and there was a dazzling red color on them. The door was tilted to one side. Bastard, is this a fight between demons? Why are you fighting so hard? Elder Wu Yan roared. At this time, Yin Yan's shy voice suddenly came from the house. Grandma, can you go to my room and bring my clothes and my husband's clothes here? Yan Yan's voice came from the storeroom. No, you're shameless. I don't have a granddaughter like you anymore. Elder Wu Yan said angrily. Grandma, 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 grandma. Yan Yan twisted her body and said. Okay, stop shouting. If you keep shouting, I'm going to lose a layer of skin. Elder Wu Yan said. A few minutes later, Elder Wu Yan opened the window and threw the clothes in. Why were there Yang Dingtian's clothes? It was made by Yan Yan. She had made dozens of them. One set a day, and they wouldn't be able to wear all of them in a month. Elder Wu Yan opened the window and saw that the storeroom was even more messy than the courtyard. Elder Wu Yan jumped up and shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" Fighting, the two felt very embarrassed at this time and didn't dare to talk back. Yan Yan's face was red. She pursed her lips and smiled. She bathed Yang Dingtian and changed their clothes. Then, Yan Yan walked out of the storeroom with Yang Dingtian's help. She immediately saw Elder Wu Yan's face covered with a layer of frost. Elder Wu Yan was very angry, but he didn't know how serious the consequences would be. This was because he had never seen Yan Yan like this before. She was so happy and beautiful. Zhong Wu Yan could even feel that Yan Yan was like a blooming flower at this moment. She exuded an enchanting fragrance and an intoxicating blush from the inside out. If there was a person who would shine and be so beautiful that it would make people intoxicated, it would be the Yan Yan in front of him. Grandma, can you give us some time to be alone with each other? Yan Yan asked. Hearing this, Zhong Wu Yan really wanted to jump up. He said loudly, "You're so young. How can you be so shameless? You just drove me out for half a day. Isn't that enough?" Yan Yan blushed and said in a hoarse voice, just now, we didn't get to talk. Now, let's have a good talk." Elder Wu Yan was completely speechless. After half a day, the two of them still hadn't spoken. Indeed, Yang Dingtian and Yan Yan had yet to speak, not even a single word. Bastard, bastard. So, Elder Wu Yan angrily ran back to his room. Yang Dingtian supported Yan Yan and returned to his room. Yang Dingtian sat on Yan Yan's bed, and Yan Yan sat on his lap. Although they said that this time alone was to talk, they didn't say anything. However, the two of them still didn't speak. They just hugged each other quietly, feeling each other's body temperature and breath. Yang Dingtian originally had a lot to say. For example, the encounters on the way, and the matters of Madame Shiman and Brother Shiman Lai. But when he hugged Yan Yan, he found that he didn't want to say anything. He only wanted to hug her gently and smell her nice scent. Yan Yan originally wanted to tell Yang Dingtian about her days in the Netherworld Sea. But at this time, she was completely like a cat that had eaten its fill. She didn't want to move at all. In the end, the two of them didn't say a word about what happened in the past year. After hugging each other for 2 hours, Elder Wu Yan coughed 19 times outside. Yan Yan asked, "Brother, did they agree to let me go?" "They agreed," Yang Dingtian said. Suddenly, Yan Yan was surprised. Although she had a good time in the Netherworld Sea, and the disciples of the Netherworld Sea came to curry favor with her, and 3 or 4 of them were injured by her sword. But this was just the surface. In fact, there was one thing that couldn't be changed. Yan Yan was a prisoner of the Netherworld Sea. At that time, in order to save Yang Dingtian, Yan Yan paid the price herself. This was something that couldn't be changed. Even Elder Wu Yan couldn't change it. There was a saying that has been passed down for hundreds of years. A debt owed to the Netherworld Sea can't be repaid in 10 lifetimes. The greed of the Netherworld Sea can't be overestimated. Moreover, the Netherworld Sea is definitely not on the side of justice. Why did they agree? Yan Yan asked. Because I borrowed the power of the Netherworld Sea and got a very, very big backer. Yang Dingtian said. Backer? How big is it? Is it the Tiando League? Yan Yan said. The light in her eyes suddenly became complicated. Speaking of the Tiando League, she immediately thought of the Yinyang School and Dongfang Bingling. It's not the Tiando League, nor the Yinyang school. Yang Dingtian said. Seeing that Yang Dingtian saw through her thoughts, Yan suddenly blushed and smiled embarrassedly. Furthermore, the Heaven Dao Union's influence might be overwhelming, but they are still unable to control the Sea of Hades. Yang Dingtian said, the backer that I pulled over is called a saint, and his name is Tantai. She's that powerful? Is she more powerful than the Tiando League? Yan asked. They are the most powerful and most mysterious group of people in the world. Yang Dingtian said. Yan's beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. If we have such powerful people as friends, wouldn't our mission be much easier? They are not friends, but our enemies, and they are our biggest enemies. Yang Dingtian said, it's just that I'm too weak now, and I'm not qualified to be their enemy. My master, Dongfang Minmi, died in their hands. At this time, Yan exclaimed. Dongfang Minmi was known as the #1 in the world, but he actually died in the hands of this group of people. It can be seen how powerful this group of people is. Then, Yan said, no matter what, it's good that we can leave here. Although Granny is very good to me here, it's not my home after all. My home is where you and Mother are. Baby, I'm taking you home this time. Yang Dingtian kissed Yan's little mouth. Then let's say goodbye to Granny and leave immediately. Yan said, then her eyes turned and said, how about we let Granny go with us? Yang Dingtian kissed Yan's whimsical thoughts again lovingly and said, the people of the Netherworld Sea agreed to let you go because they are afraid of Saint Tantai. But they are very unhappy. Although they agreed to give you freedom, they want to pursue the crime of trespassing into the Netherworld Sea and want me to stay. I can't. Yan straightened her body and said, if we leave together. Granny loves me very much. We will go beg her now. You don't need to beg me. I can't wait to kill this Yang Dingtian. What does his life have to do with me? Elder Wuyan said coldly outside. Yan wanted to beg, but she saw Yang Dingtian's stubborn eyes and immediately gave up the idea. Then, she said, what conditions do they want to let you go? I can break through the exit at any time within 3 days, but Song Yu is guarding the Golden Beach. As soon as I enter, he will immediately attack me without mercy. Yang Dingtian said, so if I want to leave, I must break through Song Yu's defense. After Yang Dingtian finished speaking, Yan's body suddenly trembled. She was well aware of how powerful Song Yu was. And Yang Dingtian was only a 3-star Xian martial warrior a year ago. To put it bluntly, even 1,000 Yang Dingtians wouldn't be able to defeat a single Song Yu. 100 Yang Dingtian added together could only be killed by Song Yu in one move. Give up, kid. Elder Wuyan sneered and said, 10 of you added together can't even compare to one finger of Song Yu. Stay obediently and be a servant. Don't embarrass yourself. Yan looked at Yang Dingtian and said timidly, Brother Tian, what is your cultivation level now? Yang Dingtian said, 6-star martial ancestor. What? Yan's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. Impossible. Elder Wuyan screamed and rushed in. She pointed at Yang Dingtian and said, impossible. It's only been a year and you've broken through from a 3-star Xian martial warrior to a 6-star martial ancestor. Even an immortal can't do that. You're bragging too much. Although Elder Wuyan was a grandmaster, she didn't have the demeanor of a grandmaster. She had always been straightforward. Yang Dingtian just smiled and did not explain. Elder Wuyan did not believe him. She went up and grabbed Yang Dingtian's hand and inserted a stream of Xian Qi to check. After a few minutes, Elder Wuyan looked at Yang Dingtian in shock. He was really a 6-star martial ancestor and was only half a level away from becoming a 7-star martial ancestor. This is truly unprecedented, and will never be replicated in the future. Yang Dingtian, who she called a piece of trash, had completely broken the record of thousands of years. This kind of cultivation progress was completely shocking. Are you a man or a ghost? Elder Wuyan stared at Yang Dingtian and murmured. Then she sighed and said, "But you're barely worthy of my little girl. It's not a disgrace to her. Grandma, don't be mistaken. I'm my husband's little girl first, and then I'm your little girl," Yen Yen said. This sentence made Elder Wuyan jump up and down. She said hatefully, "You heartless little girl. I've been so good to you for a year. You have no conscience, no conscience." Yen Yen looked at Elder Wuyan and said in a sweet voice, "Grandma, in my heart, you're my grandmother. My father has never told me about his family. You're not really my grandmother, are you? Is my father your illegitimate child?" Hearing Yen Yen's sweet voice and flattering eyes, Elder Wuyan's heart was about to explode. But when he heard her words, he immediately blushed and said, "Nonsense, nonsense. I look down on men the most in my life. None of them are promising. I've kept my chastity my whole life. How could I have an illegitimate child? Don't talk nonsense. Anyway, I don't care. I'll treat you as my grandmother." Yen Yen said, "If I'm your granddaughter, then Yang Dingtian is your grandson-in-law. We're family. Why don't you help him? I only have you in my heart, you heartless thing. Yang Dingtian's life or death has nothing to do with me," Elder Wuyan said. After speaking, Elder Wuyan looked at Yang Dingtian and said with a serious face, "Boy, I admit that your talent is unparalleled. But you should give up on fighting Song Yu. He's a 6-star revered martial artist. You're a 6-star martial ancestor. If you're a martial artist below the great mystic martial master, it's not strange for you to defeat an opponent that's one stage higher with your amazing talent and cultivation. But in a fight between martial artists above the martial mystic martial artist level, it's impossible to defeat an opponent that's one stage higher. But my husband's talent is unparalleled. He might be able to do it," Yen Yen said. "The current me is definitely unable to do it." Yang Dingtian said, "I've fought with Dugu Fengwu before. I don't know why, but her cultivation seemed to have weakened a lot. Therefore, she's not as good as Song Yu. But in front of her, I don't have the slightest ability to fight back. She can kill me at any time. At least you still have some rationality." Elder Wuyan said, "So boy, you should stay in my Wuyan Island and don't go out. Live a loving life with Yen Yen, this heartless little thing. I have everything here. In 1 or 2 years you'll be able to defeat Song Yu. At that time, take Yen Yen and leave this place. You might even have a baby by then." Once these words were said, Yen Yen's beautiful eyes suddenly became misty. She was really looking forward to it. Then Yen Yen said, "But Grandma, they only gave my husband 3 days. After 3 days, even if they don't fight with Song Yu, they will destroy my husband's martial arts and make him a servant. Are you treating me as if I don't exist?" Elder Wuyan said, "I don't like to meddle in things, and I'm not willing to provoke people from other islands in the Netherworld Sea. But no one is to provoke me. Yang Dingtian is staying on my island. I'll see who dares to take him away. This old one might not be the strongest in the Netherworld Sea, but I'm still a great grandmaster. I'm not someone that anyone can provoke." Elder Wuyan's words were filled with dominance. But Yang Dingtian didn't doubt her words. He didn't expect this Elder Wuyan to be half a great grandmaster. It seemed that the strength of the Netherworld Sea was far beyond his imagination. "I'm very grateful for Grandma's kindness," Yang Dingtian said, "but I must go out, and I must go out in 3 days. Because the day of the martial arts competition for the position of the City Lord of Cloud Sky City is coming. If I miss it, then I won't have the chance to take back Cloud Sky City that belongs to Uncle Shiman. Cloud Sky City will completely fall into the hands of the Northwest Qin City." Humph. Seeing that her kindness was swept away, Elder Wuyan was furious. She snorted and said, "If you want to die, then go yourself." Yang Dingtian looked at Elder Wuyan and said, "If I can break through to Martial Honorable in 3 days, then I'm confident that I can break through Song Yu's defense and take Yen Yen out of the Netherworld Sea." 3 days? Break through to Martial Honorable? Elder Wuyan looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. Yang Dingtian, are you daydreaming? Are you talking in your sleep? Yang Dingtian, I've heard a lot about you. Elder Wu Yan continued, you once used extraordinary means to break through many times. But that was in the past. For powerhouses above the martial ancestor realm, every breakthrough was a painstaking accumulation. Every breakthrough was as difficult as nirvana. Breaking through to martial honorable in 3 days is not only a dream, but it's also disrespectful to martial arts. Do you understand? Yang Dingtian's face suddenly became hot. Elder Wu Yan's words had indeed pierced his heart. Along the way, his cultivation had broken through. He completely relied on his 9 yang profound veins, relied on his heaven-defying pig-slaying swordsmanship, relied on the yin-yang festival and the yin-yang 5 elements formation, relied on the heaven and earth profound flame, relied on the 5 elements hall's secret realm cultivation. There were not many people who had truly relied on themselves to cultivate bit by bit. Yang Dingtian, with your talent, I'm almost certain that you can break through to the martial saint realm that no one has been able to reach in the past 400 years. Elder Wu Yan said angrily, but you're doing this. You're so eager to break through. One day, you'll taste the terrible consequences. You'll completely destroy your path to becoming a martial saint. Martial artists, after reaching a certain level, rely on hellish training and purgatory tempering. What do you think you are doing? Yang Dingtian bowed and said, Grandma, I agree with what you said. But I have no choice. The martial competition for the position of the city lord is right there. I can't lose this battle no matter what. If I lose, not only will I lose everything, Yan Yan, Madam Shiman, and Brother Shiman Lai will also lose everything. Cloud Sky City's hundreds of years of foundation will be completely destroyed. Then, Yang Dingtian looked at Yan Yan and said, in fact, I've already made up my mind. After the martial competition for the position of the city lord is over, I'll be like an ascetic monk. I'll enter the most arduous and difficult cultivation. Day after day, I'll forge my own body, my own will, and my own cultivation. The result of this is that even if I lose to Dongfang Bingling 3 years later, it doesn't matter. Ah! Yan Yan looked at Yang Dingtian and asked in confusion, why? Yang Dingtian said, Dongfang Bingling officially stepped into the Grandmaster realm half a year ago. She's only 21 years old. When these words came out, Elder Wu Yan was completely shocked. Yang Dingtian's breakthrough just now had already shocked her, and Dongfang Bingling's news directly petrified her. Of course, I'm not afraid of her because of her powerful cultivation. It's not at all. No matter how powerful she is, I'm not afraid at all. I'll do my best and keep improving until the day of the martial competition comes and I'll compete with her. Yang Dingtian said, however, I'll use the most normal way of cultivation. I won't look for any shortcuts or seek instant benefits. Like an ascetic monk, I'll put myself in the most terrifying purgatory to temper myself. This way, even if I lose to Dongfang Bingling 3.5 years later, I won't regret it. Because Shiman Ju, Yang Yan, and the Northwest Qin family are enemies. They're enemies of life and death. No matter what method I use, I'll defeat them, kill them, and take back Cloud Sky City. Yang Dingtian continued, Dongfang Bingling once trampled on my dignity, but she is not an enemy. She only humiliated me. I'll do my best to defeat her and take back the dignity that belongs to me. However, I won't be unscrupulous because she has an admirable character and will. Finally, Yang Dingtian looked at Elder Wu Yan and said, I'll make up for the mistakes I've made. I'll undergo the most arduous training. However, that's after I become the Lord of Cloud Sky City. Right now, I have no choice. I need to break through to the martial honorable realm within 3 days. Elder Wu Yan looked at Yang Dingtian for a long time and said, I understand you, but this is impossible. In this world, no one can do it. Even the Lord of the Sea of Hades, Wu Yu, can't do it. Yang Dingtian said, what if I have 2 feet of purple Naga Shen veins? Yang Dingtian had 3 feet, but he had to give 1 foot to Yan Yan. What? Purple Naga Shen veins? Elder Wu Yan said, Then why aren't you willing to exchange it for your freedom? Of course I'm willing, but Sect Master Wu Yu refused. Yang Dingtian said. You've seen Sect Master Wu Yu? Elder Wu Yan asked. Yes. Yang Dingtian said. I haven't seen Sect Master Wu Yu for several years. Since you've seen her, it means there's no turning back. Elder Wu Yan said, Purple Naga Xian veins are a treasure of heaven and earth, but their main function is to improve the grade of Xian veins, not to increase cultivation. Using them to increase cultivation is like chewing on Mudan. It's too wasteful. 2 feet of purple Naga Xian veins, isn't it enough for me to break through to the martial honorable realm? Yang Dingtian said. Of course not. Elder Wu Yan said, in fact, it's already amazing if you can break through 1 level. Because the grade of your Xian veins is too high, even higher than the 9th grade. It's completely unfathomable. Therefore, the purple Naga Xian veins have very limited use for you. Ah! Yang Dingtian didn't understand. There's actually such a thing. Isn't the higher the grade of Xian veins better? Why is it that Yang Dingtian's Xian veins being too high grade is a bad thing? Wu Yan said, it's very simple. The main function of Naga Xian veins is to transform the Xian veins, increasing cultivation is just a side effect. These 2 feet of purple Naga Xian veins have very little effect on you, it's almost useless. So, naturally, it can't increase your cultivation. In other words, these Naga Xian veins in your body won't have any effect. How much goes in will come out. Your Xian veins grade is too high. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was completely speechless. Originally, he had some confidence in breaking through to the martial honorable realm. He relied on these 2 feet of Naga Xian veins, but now Elder Wu Yan said it was useless and couldn't even break through 1 level. It was a huge waste to use it on him. Granny, is there no other way? Yan Yan cried, Granny, please help Yan Yan. You are my closest and dearest relative. Elder Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a complicated look. She looked at Yan Yan with eyes full of love, but she still shook her head and said, I'm sorry, girl, I don't have a way. Yang Dingtian could see that Elder Wu Yan had a way. Because she wasn't good at hiding, any expression or eyes would betray her heart. But Elder Wu Yan didn't want to say it. Chapter 303. Both Yang Dingtian and Yan Yan could see the struggle in Elder Wu Yan's heart. She jumped down from Yang Dingtian's lap and hugged Elder Wu Yan's arm. Granny, Granny, I beg you, she looked at Elder Wu Yan with tears in her eyes as she begged. Normally, Elder Wu Yan would have surrendered if Yan Yan used half of her strength. Like all elders, the last thing she wanted was to see the disappointment in her children and grandchildren's eyes. Elder Wu Yan looked at Yan Yan's little face with a conflicted expression. After a few minutes, she shook her head. No, I can't do anything. Yan Yan's face turned pale. Granny, are you going to leave me in the lurch? At this time, Yan Yan was no longer pretending. She was really crying. Elder Wu Yan's face was full of guilt. She didn't even dare to look Yan Yan in the eye. I'm sorry, Yan Yan. I really can't do anything. Granny, this is the person I love the most. If he dies, I won't be able to live either. Yan Yan sobbed. Yan Yan. Yang Dingtian walked up and pulled Yan Yan's hand away. Yan Yan doesn't know any better. Don't take it to heart. Elder Wu Yan didn't reply. After Yan Yan let go of her hand, she ran back to her room. She couldn't face Yan Yan's gaze or her cries. She felt like her heart was about to shatter. She was an eccentric and reclusive person. She almost didn't communicate with anyone. However, it wasn't that she didn't have feelings. Her feelings were stronger than most people's. It was just that she didn't release them easily. Once she did, she would give everything she had. Therefore, she was no different from an ordinary grandmother when facing Yan Yan. In fact, she loved her even more. Even so, she still hardened her heart and rejected Yan Yan. Why? Granny clearly has a way, why did you leave me in the lurch? Yan Yan threw herself into Yang Dingtian's arms and cried loudly. Yang Dingtian gently patted Yan Yan's back and said, Granny loves you very much and is willing to give you anything. The reason why she didn't mention that method wasn't because she couldn't bear to, but because the consequences would be very serious. If it was some kind of treasure, she would definitely be willing to give it up. Don't doubt her love for you. Really? Yan Yan looked up. Of course. Yan Yan said, just like you wanting to restore your profound veins, I can do it, but I rejected you. What do you think the reason is? Because it would be very dangerous for me. It would be very harmful to me, Yan Yan said. That's right, that's the reason. Yang Dingtian said, so Granny didn't say it because the consequences would be very serious. She felt that we couldn't bear it, so she didn't say it. Yes, that's definitely the case. Yan Yan said, Granny is the best and kindest person in the world. Yes. Yang Dingtian smiled, but he knew in his heart that Elder Wu Yan's kindness was only shown to a few people. In her eyes, everyone else was like an ant. Elder Wu Yan said, that is because in the center of the celestial Red Sea, there is a forbidden area of energy. Legend has it that it is a complete void of darkness that can devour the energy of yin, yang, and 5 elements. Energy black hole. Yang Dingtian said. I don't understand what you mean by an energy black hole, but you described it very vividly. Elder Wu Yan said, although this so-called energy black hole is a piece of nothingness, it is also a kind of substance. This substance has permeated the water of the celestial Red Sea for thousands of years. Therefore, the water in the center of the celestial Red Sea also carries this substance, although it is very very small, only a few 100 million, or a few trillion. But if this seawater is collected, 10,000 pounds of seawater can be refined into a powder crystal the size of a dust. This crystal is called the dark crystal. It is the most precious poison in the world, completely surpassing the deep sea Shen poison. Yang Dingtian said in disbelief, Yan Yan was poisoned by this dark crystal? That's right. Elder Wu Yan said, strictly speaking, this is just a substance, not even a poison. But it is more terrible than any poison in the world, because it is completely undefeatable. Yang Dingtian suddenly trembled with anger, who is so cruel? Using such a thing on Yan Yan, she is so cute and harmless, who is willing to harm her like this? Who used the dark crystal? I don't know, this is the most painful secret in her heart, I don't dare to mention it at all. She was poisoned by the dark crystal, I found out after examining her profound veins for a long time, Elder Wu Yan said, she cares about you so much, so you should ask this question. Yang Dingtian nodded. That's right, this matter happened 6.5 years ago, it was Yan Yan's deepest secret and the deepest wound in her heart. Yang Dingtian once asked Yan Yan, but she didn't answer because Yan Yan didn't love Yang Dingtian enough at the time. Yang Dingtian had always wanted to know the secret. Elder Wu Yan continued, therefore, if you want to restore Yan Yan's profound veins, you must reconstruct them. Do you still remember the 5-inch red Naga profound vein crystal used on your body? Of course I remember, Yang Dingtian said. Originally, the red Naga profound vein crystal was going to be used on Yan Yan, but after we examined Yan Yan's profound veins, we found that the 5-inch red Naga profound vein crystal was useless to Yan Yan, it just happened to offset the energy devouring of the dark crystal. It wasn't enough to reconstruct Yan Yan's profound veins, so we used it on you, Elder Wu Yan said. Yang Dingtian, then is the 1 foot of purple profound vein on my body enough? It's enough. Elder Wu Yan said, it's enough to offset the energy devouring of the dark crystal and completely reconstruct Yan Yan's profound veins. Then isn't it just right to use it on Yan Yan? Yang Dingtian said. It won't work. Elder Wu Yan said, Yan Yan's profound veins are too weak right now. If we use such powerful purple Naga profound veins on her body, Yan Yan's profound veins will completely shatter before the reconstruction even begins. Unless she has 2 master-level experts to protect her, she won't be able to endure the pain of reconstructing her profound veins. This pain is 100 times worse than cleansing her marrow and meridians. And even if she succeeds in reconstructing her profound veins, the remaining profound energy will completely destroy her energy sea and profound veins. Then is there no other way? Yang Dingtian asked. There is a way. Elder Wuyan said, you need to fulfill 3 conditions at the same time. What conditions? Yang Dingtian asked. The first condition, you need 2 master-level experts to protect you. The second condition, you need a peerless universe condensing pill. The third condition, you need a yang attribute mystic fire above the highest grade. Elder Wuyan said, we don't have any of these 3 conditions. So you dare to treat Yanyan's profound veins with just a purple naga profound veins. You're going to kill her. Hearing these 3 conditions, Yang Dingtian suddenly frowned. 2 Zhongshe realm experts to protect him. Moreover, such personal protectors had to be women. But there was only Elder Wuyan in front of him. As for the peerless universe condensing pill, it was priceless. The treasures in Shiman Ningning's space ring were priceless, but there was no peerless pill, not even the highest grade. There were only a few 9th grade pills. There are many master-level experts in the Nether Sea, but I'm the only woman. Elder Wuyan said, the Nether Sea has the peerless universe condensing pill. But it's impossible for them to take it out. Unless Yanyan is willing to marry Songyu, there's nothing to talk about. As for the yang attribute mystic fire, there is a yang attribute mystic fire in her body. But do you think you can ask him to help? Yang Dingtian's brows were tightly knitted. Originally, he thought that the holy water could cure Yanyan's profound veins. Now it seemed that he was completely naive and impossible. Granny, the 2 master-level experts, after the reconstruction of the profound veins, will the fire attribute mystic chi in the purple naga profound veins explode Yanyan's sea of chi? Yang Dingtian asked. Yes. Elder Wuyan said. Will the peerless universe condensing pill protect Yanyan from harm when the profound veins are being rebuilt? Yang Dingtian asked. Yes. Elder Wuyan said, and even if all these conditions are met, the probability of Yanyan surviving and successfully curing her profound veins is only 80%. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, Granny, maybe I have a way to cure her profound veins. That's impossible. Elder Wuyan said, even a great grandmaster can't do it, let alone you. Yang Dingtian said, Granny, I'll fulfill all the 3 conditions you mentioned. You're boasting too much. Elder Wuyan said disdainfully. Yang Dingtian said, the first condition is a yang attribute mystic fire above the highest grade. I have a yang attribute mystic fire, but I don't know if it's of the highest grade. You have a mystic fire? Elder Wuyan said in disbelief. Yes, I have a mystic fire, million spirit demonic fire. Yang Dingtian said. Elder Wuyan looked at Yang Dingtian with an expression of disbelief. She, Elder Wuyan, was almost 100 years old and only had 1 foot in the Grandmaster class. Furthermore, it was impossible for her to enter the Grandmaster class because she didn't have the mystic flame. Unexpectedly, this Yang Dingtian actually possessed the mystic flame. He was only 20 years old, and he already possessed the mystic flame. It was truly enviable. But I don't know what grade my mystic fire is. Yang Dingtian said, what's the mark to distinguish the grade of a mystic fire? Elder Wuyan said, how wide is the area where the mystic fire is condensed? How often does it bloom? Is there an illusory fire? Yang Dingtian said, my million spirit demonic fire is condensed from the fire energy of the Dongli grassland and hundreds of millions of dead wraiths. Not only does it have an illusory fire, but it also has an affiliated million spiritine fire. Elder Wuyan was shocked and speechless again. After a long time, Elder Wuyan said, it's not a top-grade mystic fire, not even a peerless one. Only God knows what grade it is. Yang Dingtian said, is it enough to cure Yanyan's mystic veins? Nonsense, what do you think? Elder Wuyan said angrily. She was over 100 years old, but she still couldn't suppress the jealousy in her heart. Next, the second condition. Yang Dingtian said, I don't have a peerless heaven and earth condensing pill, but I have the holy water I got from the secret realm. It can almost bring the dead back to life. Is it enough? You've been to the secret realm? Elder Wuyen was shocked. Yang Dingtian nodded again. You can steal the so-called holy water from the secret realm? Elder Wuyen was even more shocked. Yang Dingtian nodded again. I can't wait to kill you with one palm. My heart is about to split open from jealousy. Elder Wuyen said, someone like you, if you don't become a martial saint, the heavens will strike you to death with lightning. With what you said, ordinary people can definitely become a great grandmaster, even if their mystic veins are not as good as yours. Can this holy water replace a peerless heaven and earth condensing pill? Yang Dingtian asked. Nonsense, what do you think? Elder Wuyen said, but if you meet these two conditions, how are you going to meet the third one? You need two great grandmasters to protect Yan Yan and protect her sea of qi from being destroyed by the powerful fire-type mystic qi. I have a way. Yang Dingtian said. Dream on. You can't do it alone. Elder Wuyen said. Yang Dingtian, after she reconstructs her mystic veins, when the remaining mystic qi in the purple Naga mystic veins is about to explode, I can use the yin-yang devouring mystic art to absorb all her mystic qi in an instant. Then I can use the yin-yang qi transformation technique to refine the fire-type mystic qi into pure non-elemental mystic qi and feed it back into Yan Yan's body. As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Wuyen felt as if he had been struck by lightning, unable to make a sound. After a long time, he said, what is this yin-yang qi transformation technique you're talking about? Yang Dingtian, it can dissolve mystic qi of any attribute into non-elemental mystic qi. Impossible. There is no such heaven-defying technique in the world. Elder Wuyen said without hesitation. Give it a try. Yang Dingtian said, you are of the ice attribute. Try shooting the most ordinary ice arrow. Elder Wuyen did as he said and pointed his finger. Suddenly, a blue ice arrow shot out and pierced towards Yang Dingtian's chest. Yang Dingtian turned his palm and caught the ice arrow in his hand. Then he used the ice-dissolving technique of the yin-yang qi transformation technique. In an instant, the ice arrow turned into ashes. Yang Dingtian pushed his palm gently and pushed out the pure mystic qi that had been dissolved. Elder Wuyen withdrew his palm and swallowed the pure mystic qi. Then, he looked at Yang Dingtian in complete shock. After a long time, he muttered to himself, is there really such a mysterious technique in the world? It's completely heaven-defying. You are the flaw of this chaotic world. Yang Dingtian, Granny, can I heal Yan Yan's mystic veins now? Yes. Elder Wuyen nodded and said, perhaps, you are the only one in the world who can do it. An hour and a half later. Yan Yan sat in a jade bucket after washing her body. Inside, Yang Dingtian poured half a liter of holy water. Yes, half a liter. When Yang Dingtian used it himself, he only used half a liter at most. But when he used it on Yan Yan, he was afraid that 1 cup would not be enough. So he poured another cup, and another cup. In the end, he poured more than a dozen cups, more than half a liter. In addition to the holy water, there was a bucket of completely pure ordinary water. Because Elder Wuyen was next to him, Yang Dingtian took off his clothes in embarrassment and also entered the bucket. He sat behind Yan Yan. In his hand was a foot of the purple mystic veins of the Naga race. It was a treasure of heaven and earth. Although it was a mystic vein, it was hard and transparent in his hand. It was only a foot long and less than a centimeter in diameter. But inside, there were countless energy veins and countless light flashing. Looking closely, it was as if there were countless stars in the purple sky. The short foot of the purple mystic vein of the Naga race was like a piece of the sky, a piece of the universe. It was Yang Dingtian's first time seeing such a beautiful and mysterious thing. Huff. Yang Dingtian flicked his finger and suddenly, a gorgeous million-spirit demon flame appeared. He officially began to heal Yinyan's mystic vein. Note, brothers, I beg for a few monthly votes. Chapter 304. Darling, do you feel anything after drinking 2 cups of holy water? Yang Dingtian asked. Yes, I feel that my body is light and warm. Yanyan replied. Remodeling the profound veins was extremely painful. Yang Dingtian couldn't bear for Yanyan to suffer such pain. Therefore, other than pouring more than half a kilogram of holy water into the jade bucket, he also gave her 2 cups of holy water half an hour in advance. Now, the energy of the holy water should have spread throughout her body. By then, the pain should be greatly reduced. Yang Dingtian stared at the profound fire on his finger. From yellow, to red, to purple, to blue, and finally to an almost transparent colorless. At this time, the profound fire had completely condensed to the extreme. Go! Then, with a light flick of his finger, the profound fire immediately came to life and drilled into the purple Naga's profound veins. In an instant, this foot of Naga's profound veins lit up and became even more magnificent. Brighter and brighter. When the light reached the extreme, this section of Naga's profound veins instantly turned into ashes, turning into countless purple photons. Originally, it was 1 centimeter in diameter and 1 foot in length. At this time, the exploding photons covered the entire jade bucket, enveloping Yang Dingtian and Yanyan's entire body. It was like a purple mist, but also like countless photon fairies. The Naga's profound veins had completely melted, turning into countless independent energy bodies. Originally, at this time, it would take at least 2 Grandmaster-level experts to use all of their profound energy to control these purple photons, and then force them into the body of the person who remodeled the profound veins. But for Yang Dingtian, controlling these purple photons was a piece of cake. A ball of flame suddenly emerged from Yang Dingtian's palm, creating a huge attraction to the purple photons scattered by the Naga's profound veins. Suddenly, countless photons condensed on the flame and merged with the profound fire, turning into a purple profound fire. Yang Dingtian's hands suddenly grasped at the purple profound fire. Suddenly, the profound fire turned into a burning purple ball of light. It was like a miniature sun. Yang Dingtian pointed out another mystic flame. After being transformed by the yin-yang qi transformation technique, it turned into a ball of mystic flame without any temperature or energy damage. It completely enveloped the purple ball of light. Baby, open your mouth and swallow it. Yang Dingtian said. Yanyan opened her small mouth, and Yang Dingtian gently pushed her with his palm. Immediately, the purple ball of light entered Yang Dingtian's mouth. Then, Yang Dingtian controlled the ball of light from outside her body and made it go downwards. This plan was independently thought up by Yang Dingtian. He and his master, Dongfang Minmi, had discussed it many times. Originally, the treatment of Yanyan's profound veins was not done like this. Instead, he directly melted the Naga's profound veins and pressed them on the lower abdomen, using profound energy to force them in. In this way, it was equivalent to forcing the powerful energy of the Naga's profound veins into Yanyan's energy sea through the profound veins, and then releasing it from the energy sea. This method was extremely harmful to the profound veins, and was extremely painful. But now, Yanyan swallowed the purple ball of light with the Naga's profound veins without any pain. Because the surface was wrapped by a non-offensive profound fire. Then, under Yang Dingtian's guidance, it entered the lower abdomen in a semi-physical way. When it reached the lower abdomen, Yang Dingtian's finger lightly stroked. Suddenly, the purple ball of light turned into countless long energy rays and quickly entered Yanyan's energy sea. It was like an ordinary and harmless profound energy that entered Yanyan's energy sea without any pain. Yang Dingtian calculated that under his control, the purple ball of light turned into an energy ray and entered the energy sea at a speed of tens of thousands of meters per second. And it took more than half an hour for the entire purple ball of light to enter Yanyan's energy sea. In other words, the purple ball of light turned into an energy ray that was close to 100,000 kilometers long. A purple ball of light the size of a ping-pong ball actually turned into a light ray that was 100,000 kilometers long. It could be seen that the profound veins of the Naga's profound veins contained an astonishing amount of matter. Of course, even if the energy ray was extremely thin, it still had a strong offensive power. Therefore, Yang Dingtian still wrapped it with the non-offensive profound fire to prevent it from hurting Yinyan's fragile profound veins. After the energy ray entered Yinyan's energy sea, it immediately began to condense into a purple ball of light that was like a small beautiful sun. Yanyan felt that her lower abdomen was emitting a purple light. She couldn't help but be surprised and said, "It's so beautiful. Husband, when I'm pregnant, you can also make one in there so that our baby will have a toy in there." Yang Dingtian was speechless. At this serious moment, Yanyan was actually talking about this. "Girl, this is a dangerous moment. Don't talk." Elder Wuyan shouted. At this moment, she was probably the most nervous person. As half a great grandmaster, she would never sweat. But at this moment, beads of cold sweat were breaking out on her forehead. Her heart was in her mouth. All the profound energy in her body was circulating at all times, for fear of an accident. After the Naga's profound veins mixed with the profound fire entered Yanyan's energy sea, Yang Dingtian didn't immediately let it reconstruct Yanyan's profound veins. Instead, he went to find the energy black hole that was hiding in Yanyan's energy sea. "Baby, let go of all your defenses and let me enter your energy sea," Yang Dingtian said. "Is it coming again? It hurts," Yanyan said. Yang Dingtian was completely speechless. If he could free his hands, he would definitely beat her up. "It's a mental defense. I want to use the profound fire to find the energy black hole in your energy sea," Yang Dingtian said. "Oh, yes." Yanyan slowly closed her beautiful eyes. Using the profound fire as a medium, Yang Dingtian's mental energy entered Yanyan's energy sea very easily. The energy sea was under the lower abdomen, but it wasn't real. It was an energy space. It could be infinitely big or small. It was like another space world in the human body. At this moment, Yanyan's energy sea was completely lit up by the purple light ball. The light ball became brighter and brighter. The entire energy sea was dazzling. Then, Yang Dingtian used the profound fire as a medium and used his mental energy to search for the energy black hole. He searched inch by inch. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt a sudden chill in his brain. His vision turned black, as if he was completely dragged into a place of absolute darkness. An absolutely cold and dark place. That feeling was too frightening, too strange. Yang Dingtian used all his strength to break free. Finally, he felt his entire consciousness light up. He finally struggled to break free. Found it. He found the energy black hole. It was right below Yanyan's energy sea. If Yanyan's energy sea was 100 cubic meters, then the energy black hole would be about the size of a fingernail. But it was really complete darkness. An incomparably deep darkness. Originally, the energy sea was already an independent virtual space world. And that energy black hole was completely independent of the energy sea's virtual world. It was a virtual space within a virtual space. Without a doubt, this energy black hole was unsolvable. So Yang Dingtian's naive idea of using the sacred water to heal Yanyan's mystic meridians was completely impossible. The only way to destroy this energy black hole was to let it eat until it was full. In the virtual space, it was merely the size of a fingernail. Then in the real world, it might be even smaller than a speck of dust. But just this speck of dust-sized energy black hole was enough to devour all of Yanyan's cultivation and all of her mystic meridians. When Yanyan was 15 years old, she was already a martial profound expert. She was 2 stages higher than Qin Xiaobai of the same age and was only 5 levels lower than Dongfang Bingling. And this speck of dust-sized energy black hole was enough to completely destroy everything. Now, if he wanted to reconstruct Yanyan's mystic meridians, He first had to let this energy black hole eat until it was full and stop it from devouring. Yang Dingtian drove this purple energy ball towards the energy black hole. Just as it got close, the energy black hole suddenly emitted a terrifying black color. Like the mouth of a demon, it crazily devoured the purple energy ball. Immediately, the purple energy ball overflowed with a purple light and flowed towards the energy black hole. Devour, devour, continuously devouring, this energy black hole continuously devoured the energy of the Naga's mystic meridians. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. 10 minutes. Half an hour, the entire devouring process lasted for close to an hour. The entire process was intense and the amount of energy devoured per unit of time was also very large. When the devouring was over, the energy black hole did not disappear. Instead, it turned into a gray energy body. It just quietly floated in the energy sea and no longer had any destructive power. At this moment, Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. This energy black hole had already devoured almost all of Yanyan's cultivation and her mystic meridian's talent. It could even devour 1/3 of the purple Naga's mystic meridians. This thing was really too terrifying. Not to mention Yanyan, even if it entered the body of a martial revered or master-level expert, it would cause fatal consequences. It could be said that this was already the most terrifying thing in the world. It far surpassed the deep-sea Xian poison. Who on earth would use it on Yanyan? It didn't make sense at all. But now was not the time to care about these things. In the end, this terrifying energy black hole was still destroyed. But at this moment, Yanyan's mystic meridians had completely withered. Originally, they were at the upper 8th grade. Now, they were not even at the 1st or 2nd grade. Next, it was time to reconstruct Yanyan's mystic meridians. According to the original plan, the whole process would be extremely dangerous. Even if there were 2 master-level experts protecting her, the possibility of failure was not small. She might even be smashed to pieces. But Yang Dingtian changed the whole process. For Yanyan's safety, Yang Dingtian could be said to have racked his brains. In the end, he thought of the nuclear fusion on Earth. The energy of nuclear fusion was astonishing. Moreover, the cost was extremely low. It could completely change the entire world. But the biggest problem was that there was nothing that could encase nuclear fusion. There was no container that could contain nuclear fusion. The only way was to use a rotating energy body to encase the huge energy of nuclear fusion and then gradually release it. By the same logic, the energy of the purple ball of light in Yanyan's energy sea was incomparably huge. If it was released instantly, Yanyan's only outcome would be to be smashed to pieces. Even if there were 2 master-level experts protecting her, it would still be impossible to protect every part of her body. There would still be a huge risk. However, Yang Dingtian combined the mystic fire and yin-yang qi transformation technique to completely encase this energy ball with the non-offensive and non-elemental mystic fire. It even enveloped the energy rays that were as long as 100,000 kilometers. In this way, the originally violent and terrifying energy of the Naga's mystic meridians was incomparably peaceful. Next, it was the release process. The energy photons in the purple ball of light had to be completely released to transform Yanyan's mystic meridians and energy sea bit by bit. This process was the most crucial and also the most difficult. The normal way was for 2 master-level experts to encase the energy of the Naga's mystic meridians with their mystic chi and then control it to overflow bit by bit. This method was extremely difficult and extremely dangerous. Yang Dingtian's method was to open countless small holes on the non-elemental mystic fire's surface, including the purple ball of light. In this way, the energy of the Naga's mystic meridians inside would overflow directly. However, it would not explode violently because Yang Dingtian had encased every energy ray with the non-offensive mystic fire's energy. The reason why this could be done was because Yang Dingtian's mystic fire was the million-spirit demonic fire. Other than the mystic fire, there were hundreds of millions of wraiths. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's entire plan was undoubtedly a genius plan. Baby, I'm going to reshape your mystic meridians. It might be painful. You have to bear with it, Yang Dingtian said. Okay. Yan Yan gritted her teeth and said with a slightly trembling voice. She was still afraid of pain. Moreover, her mother-in-law had already reminded her that this kind of pain was dozens of times more painful than the cleansing of meridians. It was completely unimaginable and extremely painful. If she was alone, she promised to be strong. However, in front of the man she loved the most, she did not mind being weak at all. At this moment, Elder Wuyan's face was also distorted. She was really afraid that Yan Yan would not be able to bear this extreme pain. This kind of pain could even cause a person to go into shock or even die. I'm going to start. Break. Yang Dingtian said. Then, following his order, tens of thousands of wraiths immediately left the purple ball of light with a small piece of mystic fire. Suddenly, tens of thousands of tiny holes appeared on the surface of the purple ball of light. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Suddenly, the energy of the Naga's mystic meridians that were rotating at high speed inside shot out from these tens of thousands of holes. Suddenly, an extremely beautiful scene appeared. The purple ball of light suddenly bloomed with tens of thousands of rays of purple light. It was incomparably bright and incomparably gorgeous. At this moment, not only Yan Yan's body, but the water in the entire jade bucket also bloomed with purple light. That purple ball of light was really like a small sun at this moment. These countless rays of energy directly hit the surface of Yan Yan's energy sea. Suddenly, countless rays of energy from the Naga's mystic meridians directly merged into the surface of Yan Yan's energy sea. All of a sudden, the surface walls of the Qi Sea, which had been weakened, were activated and strengthened. It was as if countless brand new cells had drilled into the originally withered cells and became stronger in an instant. Just like this, the Naga's mystic meridians turned into countless rays of energy and transformed the cells one by one. It looked as if the energy sea's surface was swallowing the rays of light from the purple ball of light and transforming itself. After the transformation of the energy sea's surface was completed, the rays of energy released by the purple ball of light directly drilled out of the energy sea and surged into countless mystic meridians all over the body. Cell by cell, millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch was transformed. Note, requesting monthly votes. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.